that bag is intense.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tabletop Notch. Thank you so much for bearing with us while we work out our myriad of technical issues. Hopefully, we've been doing some tests. Everything looks smooth.
Don't say that, though.
I know. But barring any, unforeseen problems, we will be live tonight, which we're excited to be. We're always thrilled to be live. So we will be diving back into chapter 62 at the edge of the Acqly Grove, almost having reconnected with the Acqly Grove Road. It's been a long journey through the Grove, but you guys are on the cusp, as it were. A little bit of business to deal with before that happens. Does anybody have any thoughts, things I want to say before we...
While we...
I have to get off the save mode.
I will vamp.
I put on low battery things. So
there was somebody who donated bits a couple of days ago while we weren't live, ever at all. So thank you to Coil Twitchbot for 100 bits, I believe. I find that name just to be ironic. It's not an actual bot, I hope, but thank you very much.
Twitchbot?
We had a Coil Twitchbot. Coil? Yeah, there you go. And
I feel like a bot wouldn't name itself a bot, would it?
I feel like they do.
I mean,
they do.
I more feel like a bot wouldn't bid us bits, but...
They do.
I guess, yeah.
We also got a couple followers, making us too shy of 700.
Whoa.
So if you got your roommate sitting there, just dumb up on Amazon Prime and do the thing.
Or if you've got some more Twitch bots at your disposal,
We'll
light
take
them up.
whatever we can get. So thank you to those people. Also, I don't know if you saw our Instagram, but Comrade Tortel sent us more art. It was a story. I don't know if it's expired yet. I'll have to post it again, but please keep an eye out for it because it's fantastic and I can't wait for more.
We'll find a way to add it to the guest book or something. We already have the Graven art.
Yes, it's of Erland, of course. It wouldn't make his week unless it was of Erland.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What am I gonna do? Enjoy someone else's art?
No, never.
So that would just be too
Thank
much.
you to everybody there.
Thanks, dude.
Did I do
Okay,
enough?
I'm ready. Yes.
Okay.
My phone was just not on. Okay. These are very good.
We had a couple of duds.
Now you hyped them up.
Just like a couple, but these are all pretty spot on. Okay. National Chocolate Covered Cherry Day.
Oh,
That's pretty good.
Okay.
Chocolate covered cherry is pretty good.
That's
Pretty
fair.
good.
National Drinking Straw Day.
Oh,
Like you.
Was that one of the good ones?
yeah, I don't
That's-
understand.
I
You
think it's
oversold
good.
this
That
one.
was a solid one?
This is the best one. I saved it for last.
Oh, okay.
Get ready,
I'm ready.
because the holidays are over. What else are you gonna do now? Take that fruitcake and celebrate National Fruitcake Toss Day.
Toss?
Like just throw it in
Just
the
throwing
air?
it in the
Either throw it in the air, throw it at Erland, throw it in the trash, whatever you want.
No,
It
we're
is
back to shitting on
fruitcake
it.
does taste like they took all the fruit that you take something that people
Right.
like.
I feel like I would like it though, which is saying a lot
Toss it
about me.
right in your mouth. Then.
Toss it right
I
towards
guess.
me, I
Toss
guess.
the fruit, kick to Leah.
Sweet and dense. I like them.
So yeah, those are the
I don't want to have to pay for that.
and those are literally the only ones.
Thank you.
All right.
Wow. Cheers
That's
to that.
like what a day. Tomorrow
Wow.
there's interesting
Well,
ones too.
the tankard was a good idea, but the steam from the tea gets on top of the lid, and then when you open it, it rains on your hand.
Oh no.
But it's still good. I'm gonna commit to it.
Oh no.
That's what we like in the
If
studio.
if
Just
you
loose
see-
moisture.
You can see Jordan
Uncontrolled
wincing
moisture.
because of her burns and her hand comes out all
Insist
bubbly.
it works. All right, I think that's it.
All right, everybody. We're going to roll the intro. We will see you on the other side, and we'll pick it up from there.
Yeah. Woo.
Hands?
We'll call back.
Old callback.
In chapter 61, picking the right fights.
We're here.
Beezaura did her best to glean any information she could from the mysterious stranger who had come to examine the Crown's Gold tree. But his stubbornness to reveal specifics was matched only by the intensity of his requests. With a few flicks of the wrist that sent waves of searing, radiant energy crashing down on her, Beezaura felt her options dwindling, and acquiesced to retrieving Graven from the soul shelter down below. It was there that the rest of the party was finishing up a conversation about Graven's past, noting also the curious involvement of Lady Sangrelaw and the various paths that all seemed to lead to Finlock Forest. The appearance of the halfling signaled reason for concern, and after an explanation of where she'd been, Graven knew in his bones that it was Kuuzni who had come to confront him.
Quiznos?
Kuz! Oh, man.
Quiznos.
Oh no.
How dare you, yikes. Who had come to confront him in a mortal
He's
form.
gonna get us for that.
We scrapped together a plan, but our disadvantages seemed insurmountable. There was only one way out. Orba's flower appeared only to work on one person at a time, and negotiation had already proven to be an ineffective tactic. With nothing to do but face him, Graven passed beyond the threshold of the chamber and stood opposite the vengeful god of light, who was seething with anger and resentment. The use of the soul shelter was the final blasphemous straw in the eyes of Kuuzni, who bound the party in searing chains and shrugged off a pair of optimistic attacks while reprimanding his cleric. His power was too great, and there was nothing to do but watch as he summoned a radiant dagger to pry the holy relic from Graven's scarred palm. With a sickening snap that reverberated throughout the Goliath's body, Kuuzni broke the relic in two and foretold the selection of a new chosen one who would be sure to finish the job of hunting down the Chimera, should Graven fail to do so. Another great flash of light and the man was gone, leaving the party to tend their wounds and leaving Graven to retrieve his partial relic from the dirt, which he did so while feeling that his ability to unlock his power within had been stunted, perhaps permanently. From here it was a quiet and uneventful ride up the Isimil border. The hours passed quickly, and we reached the signs for Ver, which signaled to us it was time to head west and reconnect with the Acqly Grove road. It was a welcome change of pace for our progress to be unhindered, and as the sun began to fall after a full day of travel, we caught sight of another settlement, the first that we'd seen since meeting Dodd at the southern end of the grove. Nursing a number of small injuries, it seemed this group of elves had just returned from a fight, and we learned of their predicament from their leader Ninke, who was apprehensive to strangers, but who felt that he had little choice with time against him. Apparently the new warden of the grove was a reptile, which was emboldening the lizard folk to reclaim portions of the forest, a notion that we could confirm given our frequent run-ins with their kind along the ruins of Joyruk. To limit the spread of violence, the Acqly elves had prepared offerings for a great tortoise, whose spirit was believed to be a calming force among the beasts. Finding the tortoise's habitat to be overrun with copperclaw bears, a group of hunters had been hired to scare them off. But the hunters discovered the tortoise and turned on the elves in favor of claiming the creature's shell, which was believed to be immensely valuable. The hunters were holding a defensive position at a nearby stone monument, waiting for friends to arrive from Leopold's garrison to help transport their bounty. Believing that this would anger the animal spirits, the Acqly elves pleaded for our help in preventing this. And beyond considering it the right thing to do, we didn't mind the potential reward either. We took a moment to rest while the elves got themselves battle ready, and we marched on foot toward the monument with a plan in place. A distraction from the front would allow Erland and two swordsmen to scale the walls in the back, and Orba would use her powers of levitation to bring Beezaura up from the center in a surprise attack. The hunters were undoubtedly skilled and ready for a fight. They fielded a diverse array of attacks, both physical and magical, and they were smart enough to focus their strikes when the opportunities presented itself. Erland broke up their ranks by shoving a pair of hunters down off the monument, but even so they had enough sustained power to knock both Beezaura and Safira unconscious. Still,
So
at the
sad.
first kill, we could feel the momentum rising, and we cut down one after the other, until the sole remaining survivor gave us one final surprise. He surrendered. The Acqly Elves looked to us to make the decision of whether to spare his life, and as we considered the pros and cons of mercy, we asked ourselves, what was this group doing traveling with what we believed to be a stockpile of gentle void favors in their backpack? What effect would the tortoise's death have on the balance of power in the grove? And was Safira's confidence irreversibly shaken after rolling a natural 1 to attack a god?
Yes.
We find out now
She'll never
I'm gonna say
find
that.
another
on chapter 62 of A Peek Beneath the Veil. From up on the roof, one can look down into the central opening and see the bodies littering the ground below. A lone Acqly archer, Dalibor if you've kept track correctly, is retrieving a pair of arrows from the corpse of the deceased mage, and as he does so, he gives a solemn look back at his fallen friend. With his blood-tipped rapier coming to a stop, rolling by his feet, the last remaining hunter of this formidable group allows Graven to hold him still. A brave face, but eyes flitting around to survey these new faces, an unexpected wrinkle in their otherwise solid plan. He's a tiefling, whose fitted vest features an array of reinforced leather loops, currently empty, but from first-hand experience you've seen how they provide easy access to throwing daggers. As the party catches their breath, you see him looking into the distance beyond the tree line, perhaps hoping that a last wave of reinforcements might turn the tides once more. But no such assistance arrives, and he resigns himself to his captivity.
How many were you expecting from Leopold's garrison?
6.
How soon?
Within the hour. One of us was supposed to go meet them.
Did they know where you are?
I don't believe so.
I was, at the time combat ended, I was running towards Safira.
Safira's sort of there, sort of in a heap. You can tell that she's stabilized Beezaura, sort of holding her upright a little bit, but you can see that her eyes still sort of unfocused, unable to sort of bring herself back into consciousness.
So then I'll sort of crouch down. Goliath, should I administer a healing potion?
How far away from me?
Like 30 feet-ish, I
30
think.
feet?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll breathe a healing word over to her just to get her on her feet.
Give me a nice little kiss.
And with one kiss, she awakens.
Oh my!
Oh my! Fucking fairy tale, guys.
Oh gosh, not a fairy tale at all, is it?
It's fine.
You get 4 HP.
Thank you, my prince.
Was that the minimum, though?
My sweet
It
prince.
was the bear.
Oh no!
It wasn't a kitsch so much as like a just a pack.
Well, I'm busy. I'm holding this
Certainly
guy
not
back.
because
I
of
gotta do
love.
everything.
Oh,
Just kidding, I'm just kidding.
all right.
Yes, sorry.
We have healing potions.
And with that, Beezaura holding Safira sort of up to keep her shoulders up off the stone surface, she snaps back into consciousness.
They're gone. Just one left. Surrendered.
Okay.
How are you feeling?
I mean, that was... I've been better, but, you know... I'm up.
Good. We should not linger here. We're
No, we definitely shouldn't. Did you ask the... I'm kind of looking around trying to get it bearing. You ask the... Who's this? About... When are his friends coming, the reinforcements?
It could be within the hour, but they don't know it. They might not know
Okay,
exactly
we should
where we are.
leave.
I'm gonna to one of the Acqly elves. Is your hope to transport this back to your camp? The tortoise.
No.
What were you going to do with it then?
Do you have any burial rites or anything you can do now? We shouldn't linger here.
It will be buried here, but this is not a job for today.
Okay.
We will return tomorrow.
All right.
As he said, I do not believe that the carriage is coming to this spot. I would not linger, but I do not believe it is as urgent as you seem.
Is retribution on the mind of the Acqly Elves, would you say?
Of what kind?
I'm gonna, kind of present the guy to him.
The Acqly Elves do not take prisoners. It is not our way. He dies, or you let him go. I am quite sure that Ninke would trust you to make this decision.
To the guy. What's your name?
Cleric.
Cleric. Why were you all passing? Why were you and this ragtag bunch passing through the grove?
We're gentle void, all of us.
All right.
Colleagues more so than friends. I do not wish to die here today. Is there any chance of that wish becoming a reality?
Depends on how you answer the questions. Leopold's Garrison, you are coming from there?
Heading to there.
Heading to Leopold's Garrison, from where?
I'm from Netter's Nook. Hamilar and I, the mage that lies dead. We worked at the Acqly River Archives.
At Netter's Nook?
Yes.
You and your colleagues, how did you come together? What brought you together?
The Gentle Void is in the process of transferring a number of their records to Leopold's Garrison. And we were tasked with the safe transport of a few of these ledgers. Hamilar and I were told to meet Sade, Gerver, and Esteve outside of Tuktu. Apparently they'd been gathering some information of their own there, and we were to take everything to the garrison. As you said, a carriage was set to meet us outside the grove for an added bit of security as we got close.
And where are these ledgers and additional information now?
Nothing but ash.
What was on the ledgers?
Names.
Why were they burned?
As soon as Sade realized that the Acqly Elves had brought in, and he kind of looks at everybody, reinforcements, she burned them, rather than have them fall into someone else's hands.
Does it seem true that they're all burned? That everything's
Make an
been burned?
insight.
New dice.
Oh, do you want to show them off?
New dice. Where's my? Should I do it? Should I do it in Graven?
Oh wow!
That little Erland dice.
Nice.
All right.
Your arms are so long.
Only, honestly, it's best that this is an insight check. 16.
Why did he look so close at it?
I have forgotten what you were trying to do because we were so excited.
He was wondering if there were any. If they were
that all the
if
things
all
are burned.
things have been burned.
As far as you can tell, yes, that does seem true.
Do you have other copies?
Of course, at the Acqly River Archives.
I see.
What's
What were the names regarding?
There were many names. We weren't permitted to read the ledgers, but if I had to guess, I'd say they had to do with prisoners and those indebted to the Gentle Void. I get the impression that Leopold's Garrison is taking over the primary record-keeping for books of this kind, given that they have a more extensive prison system there. The Acqly Archives will maintain the books for labor guilds, political aspirations, projects that need funding.
Okay, so you were sent on this mission by the Gentle Void to protect this paperwork, take it to Leopold's Garrison, and you decided that along the way you were just going to stop and do a fairly dangerous mission to kill a bunch of copper claws so that you could try to confiscate a giant tortoise? What was the plan here? I get that the shell could be worth a lot of money, but why take the detour? Were you not going to be paid for your services if you had made it to Leopold's Garrison?
We were. But as you said, we did it for money. Same reason we took the job scaring off the Copper Claw Bears. We weren't intended to kill them, and we didn't, mostly. Perhaps you are lucky enough to be in a position where wealth is not a primary consideration, in which case I envy you.
So who instructed you to take these names from the ledger to Leopold's garrison?
Those in charge at the archives.
At the archives at Leopold's garrison, or at the archives in Nettersnook?
In Nettersnook.
And who's in charge there?
Captain Crosh.
How long have you been Gentle Void?
30 years. Since I was a boy, really.
Sorry.
There is a dead name. Buraj Kravo. Do you know anything of its origins?
No. There are many dead names. Wasn't my field. A better question for Hamelar, perhaps.
What is your field?
Security.
Oh.
Since these papers have been burned, will you get the other copies to transport?
What do you mean?
Well, don't the names have to get there eventually?
They're very careful at the Acqly River archives. They make copies of the books. We take them to Leopold's garrison, and when they receive confirmation that they're there, they burn the originals. Because we did not give them word that the books made it, the originals will not be burned, and they will likely make another copy.
So forgive me, who exactly are these names? These are...
People indebted to the Gentle Void.
So not current Gentle Void members, people...
These particular ones, I do not believe that is the case, no.
And what additional information did your colleagues find and took to that they were bringing?
I don't know. It was my impression, based on ramblings to her closer friends, that Sade had some sort of secondary motivation, if that interests you.
Secondary motivation for burning the documents?
No. For going to Leopold's garrison.
Okay, yeah, I'm interested. What do you think her secondary motivation was?
Apparently she has a brother imprisoned there, in the secure ward. Not just anyone is allowed in there. So I think she planned to buy her way in with some favors.
Right.
If you were to leave here with your life, where would you go?
Back to Nettersnook.
Is her brother Gentle Void as well? Is the prison full Gentle Void, or for people indebted to the Gentle Void?
Either.
So is her brother Gentle Void?
I don't know. As I said, Sade is not so much a friend as someone I worked with once or twice.
Do you know her brother's name?
No. You're welcome to search her body.
Do you know who's coming to meet you specifically?
The names? No. I believe they are under the instruct of a... Let me make sure I have it right. I have the name somewhere. Yes. They are under the instruction of Captain Autry, who is the highest ranking member at Leopold's garrison. Other than that, I don't know the names.
When you return to Leopold's, if you do, will you also be seeking retribution in some way against the Acqly elves and possibly even us?
No.
But you had no
Does that seem true?
Make an insight check.
I don't usually get to use my +5.
Oh yeah, because Erland's always on top of you.
10.
I mean, there's a little bit of... The thing that you pick up on the most is a little surprise and gritting his teeth that he lost. He seems surprised that they lost.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily... You don't get the impression that he's like, I'm gonna get these... But that, like, he's frustrated and gritting his teeth. Like, he... Again, like, this is a guy who's seen some battles and he doesn't lose a lot.
Yeah.
The hand-to-hand combat collie of yours. What's their name?
Sade.
That's Sade? Do you know where she trained?
I think I do,
Where?
yes. She has a earpiece, a kind of bar that goes through her ear. It looks like a serpent. You can check if you like.
Can I go over and look at her body?
You can, yes. It's very close by. She was up top. She wasn't
Yeah.
down below, so you can go over to her body. and you take a quick look, and as he said, there's this kind of copper rod that's piercing from like the lower part of the ear that goes up to the top. And the rod is kind of etched and spiraling slightly, so it looks like almost like a very small snake that goes up through the bottom and up the top of the ear. That piece of jewelry is a denotion of the Temple of the Forked Tongue.
The forked tongue?
Forked tongue.
Does that mean anything to me?
Make a history check for me. And Graven, make a history check.
Thank you.
Darn it.
13.
I know nothing.
14.
14. You guys have heard it mentioned. If you recall correctly, it's a monastery in Musokori, which is a name we haven't gone a lot, but it is on your map. It's just north of Pachacama. It is one of the major cities of Anticydia. And you don't know much about it. Erland, you've heard a little bit, just whispers of it in the monastery where you trained, that it's kind of a catch-all monastery for dropouts of other monasteries. People who didn't sort of get along with the ideology of other monasteries. They're kind of and it doesn't have a great reputation because it sort of attracts those kind of people.
Anything on the body?
I can also tell you, as you're sort of beyond the rod, that you sort of confirm his speaking. She has very little on her. She has 6 copper bracelets, 3 on each arm. They're like tight against the arm. No insignias or gems. They're just sort of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 on both arms. And that's really it. She also has 8 gold pieces in a little pouch.
I'll take the gold.
Do those copper...
Dead people in front of this guy.
Do those... I mean, I assume I saw her fighting with those. Do I know if those enhance fighting at all, or if they're just adorned?
They aren't... They don't mean anything to you. Yeah, it's...
Just,
You didn't see them like glowing or anything during battle or showing you anything that was obviously sort of magical about them.
nothing else except for the rod in her ear and her bracelets.
These companions of yours, will you mourn them? Will you wish for them to have a burial of any kind?
Hamilar and I were closer. I'll miss him at the archives.
Can I walk over to Beezaura and like whisper really quietly so
Sure.
he can't?
It's still like 30 feet away. Yeah, you can walk over and whisper.
And we are passing-ish Leopold's garrison, right, on our road.
The Acqly Grove Road theoretically
on the
goes
road.
right through. Yeah, it goes right through Leopold's garrison.
Beezaura, do we try to spare this man's life so that maybe we have an easier time getting through Leopold's? Do Gentleboy do that kind of thing?
I don't know how.
Are they, like, honorable in some way if we spare a man's life and he kind of likes us for it, maybe? I don't know.
They are very particular in what they approve of. They. I don't.
Or it's like, what? To clarify sort of your knowledge, it's case by case. I mean, there are a lot of them that have a pretty strict sort of honor among thieves, but that doesn't apply to everybody. I mean, that's a tough sort of generalization to make about an organization that big.
I mean, there's some that are nicer than others, but it's hard to tell who's going to be amiable and who's not.
Do you recognize any of the names of the captains or anybody?
Mm-hmm.
You've heard of Captain Autry before, just that he runs Leopold's garrison, but other than that, no.
And the one that let me go in like the backstory thing, what was his name?
None of Mohan Fowler was his name, but none of that was not mentioned.
I mean, I was spared rarely, but nobody knows, and I don't know which ledgers he was transporting, but my name's on a ledger somewhere.
Well, do you think if we spared this guy's life, we could have him burn your original ledger? Possibly? Could it be at the Acqly?
I'm afraid if I tell him who I am, maybe he will turn me in.
Well, he can't do that right now, but maybe later. Yeah. Just a thought. I don't know. I think people want to kill him, and I kind of don't. So
I don't think we need to kill him. It just... If he's...
See?
It's crossed my mind if I expressed to him who I was, maybe he would help, but the risk is quite big.
Yeah. All right. Well, something to think about, I guess, in the next few moments.
Yes.
All right.
A bag. One of you lost a bag. Which one?
What's in it?
Which one of you
Perhaps-
lost a bag?
We all have bags.
So
Do you
what's-
have yours on
Do
you?
you have yours on you?
I have a satchel on me. It has some
So
gold.
it's not your bag, so it could have been one of your other friends.
That makes sense to me.
Okay.
Perhaps we don't show our entire
Look, I've got a question
breadth of
for you.
knowledge to
So-
this man.
You were hired, right, by the Acqly Elves. They said, hey, we've got a problem. You guys seem like nice enough people. We're going to trust you to fix it. We're even going to give you money to fix it, right? So you meet these people and you say, yeah, here's my word. I'm going to go and scare off these bears for you, right? So that you can give treats to your big
Safira.
tortoise. No, listen, hang on, I'm not done. So you did this, right? And then you figured, oh, well, just out of you're opportunistic, you see the giant tortoise and you're going to lie to these people, steal their money, kill their fucking turtle, and then what? Drag it away to do what?
I'm gonna take out my mace and put it right against his throat. Safira, I suggest if you'd like to teach this man a lesson, you do it.
Graven.
What does that teach him? What can he learn when he's fucking dead?
Then why are you asking him?
Because I'm asking you, did you recognize that you were doing that? Did it matter at all?
Didn't kill any of the elves in our first encounter.
Not directly, you didn't, but they told you, presumably, why they were trying to bring offerings to this turtle. They told you, right, that they was actually going to put their lives in danger because the lizard folk were going to chase after them and they have no way to defend themselves. You presumably knew that, right?
It was explained to us in some form.
Great! So then inadvertently, yes, you did kill them.
There are many things that I do not understand. You see, forces of magic, spirits, communion with nature, and I acknowledge that much of this is very real. I acknowledge that also the problem is that often it is impossible to tell the real from the bullshit.
So you presumed it was a fantasy, or some kind of religious experiment.
I operate under the assumption that all of it is bullshit until proven otherwise.
If I look around quickly at the dead bodies, can I tell which one doesn't have a satchel?
Give me an investigation check. You're up on the top.
Yeah.
There's two down below, so
Yeah.
that would take some time to climb down.
Oh, I don't want to climb down. If I didn't
Okay,
look at,
so
also,
the-
I
the
killed
two-
those guys, so I
Yeah.
assume that I would have seen, if that's a large satchel, whether or not they would have
A large satchel, yeah. So the two that are still up are Esteve and Sade, and then Hamilar and Gerber are both down below.
Okay, so if I just from where I'm standing, just sort of do one of these and look around to see if I notice any missing
Sure, give me an
satchels.
investigation check.
19.
19. It looks like definitely a few of them have bags on them that may just be part of their sort of weapons and stuff. It's hard to tell. Like Beezaura noticed, there wasn't any real bag on Sade. I mean, Sade had a little pouch for money. There definitely looks to be a bag on Gerver. There definitely looks to be a bag on Hamilar. And there definitely is a small bag on Cleric, who's still alive.
So
it's
that
hard
would
to tell. So Sade didn't seem to have a bag,
Yeah.
and Esteve didn't seem to have an obvious bag. The two of them.
I'm gonna search him, Goliath, alright? I'm just gonna sort of pat him down, check his bag, check to see if he had any other weapons.
He lets you do so. He doesn't resist at all. There's a few things that you find on him. His rapier is at the ground, on the ground by his feet. He has a little pouch of money. Looks to have about 11 gold pieces in it. And then a little sack that's a little bigger than his just kind of coin purse is a little bag that it sort of attaches to his belt. And you open it up, and it has an antitoxin inside that you recognize. And there's a flask that you don't recognize that has kind of white bubbling liquid in it.
What's this?
It's alchemist's fire.
Does that mean anything to me?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Does that mean anything?
Yeah! I was waiting. 11.
You've heard of it in your studies. It's basically it's a fire source. It's a combustion source, so that when you smash the bottle, it releases a flame, and it's sort of a permanently burning flame until it's physically put out. Like if you just let it burn, it will just keep burning.
Does it spread?
It can a little bit, but it's mostly contained to sort of where the liquid splashed to, where it sort of combusted.
Okay.
It's not sort of rapidly expansive, but it's useful for both sort of creating a permanent source of fire, or alternatively, it's used in combat sometimes. You can throw it at someone, and it continues to burn until they physically put it out.
And that's
Magical
called what
napalm.
again? Alchemy.
Yeah, kind of alchemist's fire.
Alchemist's fire.
So holding it up, when he says it, I'll look around to the group.
Well, I know what it is. Just be careful with it.
What do you mean, be careful? Is it gonna...
Well, when you throw it, it kind of explodes and sets things on fire, and you gotta put it out. It doesn't go out on its own. So,
Oh, cheers.
be careful with it.
Anyone need a rapier?
We're just looting this poor man in front of his
Poor
very eyes.
man! I'm sorry, poor man! Poor man! You put yourself in this situation last time I checked. I'm sorry.
We put ourselves in a lot of situations too, Safira.
Does the rapier look really nice? Like I could sell it for a lot?
Not a lot. It looks solid construction. I mean, you know, a typical weapon of that size might cost 15, 20 gold or something, but it's not like ornate. But it looks...
Well,
Anyone?
I'll keep it if no one wants it.
You send this man away from here without a weapon, might as well kill him here.
that's
I'll
true.
drop the weapon at his feet then. I'll take the alchemist's fire and antitoxin.
Wasn't me saying we should let him go.
Yes, but we're going to take it like
So why did one of your friends, either Sade or Esteve, have so many gentle void favors?
I think I already answered that.
The Acqly elves apparently have this bag now.
Sade seemed very angry that she had lost something, and as I mentioned before, she's interested in seeing her brother at Leopold's garrison.
So the hope was to collect enough favors to get him out?
I believe that is the case.
How many favors would you say it would take?
It depends on what they were in for, I suppose. The prisons at Leopold's garrison have different levels of severity. I don't know her brother, as I mentioned, so I don't know what he's there for.
What would be the worst thing he could be there for?
Selling out high-ranking members of the Gentle Void?
Well, Mr. Cleric, I know my friends aren't too keen on keeping you alive. I wouldn't mind if you got to go home at some point today. You lost, we won. Is there any way that you can assure us that after we let you go, no harm will come to us, or especially the Acqly elves?
How would you suggest I do that?
Well, I know you're not good on your word.
Yeah, it would be nice if we could, you know.
You live pretty close to Tuktu. Have you been recently?
Not since the lockdown, no.
Any idea what's causing the lockdown in Tuktu?
No, that would have been a better question for one of my companions who was coming from there.
Does that seem true that he doesn't know anything about the lockdown?
Make an insight check.
14.
It does, and if you sort of base it on some of his story, you know, adding together pieces of his story, he said he didn't even go through Tuktu. He met them outside of Tuktu, so nothing doesn't seem to add up as far as you can tell.
Look, it's gonna be a gamble, so... I mean, what? Seriously, he's not wrong. What's he gonna do? Give us his word? What's that worth?
If you were to
Come
leave
back
there,
for the tortoise with more. Give our descriptions to anyone he meets in the Gentle Void. A number of things. This is a loose end.
To be fair, the Gentle Void already has our descriptions.
Will you all shut up in front of this man, please?
Well,
He will
might
know
be
our
fucking killing
entire
him.
story in a moment.
Yeah, well, you might not know anything in a moment. You swing that mace, right?
You're all far more interesting than your average mercenaries, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Quiet. I see no benefit to keeping this man alive. He will do us no favors when he leaves here.
Any last words then?
No, we're
Wait,
not
what?
going to kill him. Hold on. We're not going to kill him. Do you know anyone in Tuktu who looks like, and I'm going to describe the guy that I've seen in the portrait.
The blonde.
Odell Barnabas?
No. Sorry,
That
the
was in the-
blonde.
The blonde.
Oh my God, what was the
half-orc?
half-orc? What's his name? Something Junior.
Dartnought
Essentially,
Jr.?
Junior. Dartnought.
Daddy
I'm going to describe that guy. Do you know this guy? Do you know this man from Tuktu?
Not from that description, no.
Orba. And can I kind of like take her aside a little bit? Can I like pull her away from like? Sorry. Orba, look, I know you seem invested in keeping this guy alive. I know that you have a piece of magic that can, I don't know, charm him or something, make him acquiesce to your desires, right?
I'm afraid to say I won't be able to cast it today.
Okay.
It also only lasts for about an hour, so it wouldn't be enough.
I just don't see how we let this guy go without doing some kind of damage to his brain.
Jesus.
I mean, truly.
Well, I wish we could just call it a win versus a loss and let him go.
Have you ever let a prisoner go before?
Yes, actually we have.
We have, he hasn't.
I wasn't talking to you specifically. Then I won't try to argue.
You seem rather keen to die.
I think that's quite the opposite. After all, I did surrender.
Do you have a family, sir?
I do.
You haven't said much in defense of yourself. You haven't done any pleading, any begging. You haven't offered us anything. You haven't promised us anything. So that would, to me, mean that you don't care very much about whether you live or die. Sure, you surrendered, but since you've done so, you haven't done very much for your case, have you?
I've been in a situation like this before, and I've seen others in this predicament, and I find that people rarely change their minds. They've either made it or they haven't. I don't know which heads will prevail in this situation, but I doubt I'm changing anyone's mind.
When were you in a situation like this before?
I've been Gentle Void for 30 years.
Have you ever done anything to save your own life?
I've run. If I thought that was an option, I might have tried that.
But no offerings or deals?
The problem is that I only have what's on me to bargain with. Everything else is just a promise.
And you've never kept one of those in your life, I assume, right? Gentle Void, 30 years?
What would I be able to promise that you would believe?
Information, perhaps?
Such as?
Well, you have access to ledgers, no?
Again, you're still letting me go before I access that information.
Well, I don't see many other options. We are in the middle of a forest, in the middle of a storm.
And that returns me to my original point, which is that you've likely made up your mind or not.
While this is happening, can I go and take a look at the last body that's up here?
Esteve's body, I
I
think?
believe it's Esteve.
Sure, yes you can.
And I'm
You were
gonna pull Graven.
Oh my
Graven's
gosh.
holding
I'm
him.
holding
Oh.
So someone either has to hold him or you have to talk in
Oh.
front of him. Think about that for a moment. You go over to Esteve. Esteve was the sort of barbarian, sort of in her fighting tactics. She has very little honor. The great axe is by her feet that she was using. She has a pouch of gold that has 12 gold pieces in it. And in that same pouch is a few small carved pieces of like ivory or bone. They seem to be like sort of whittled or carved. And they look to be kind of little faces or masks of some kind. You don't recognize them. Little
And they
pieces.
don't match any of the descriptions of the tieflings that escaped from the halls.
These little pieces?
There was an ivory.
Oh, the items? No,
or
definitely
something?
not. No.
Okay.
Yeah, there were, yeah.
Small figures, ivory masks.
Like little faces, like that have been carved. Yeah, they look like old faces.
Okay, cool. And then after having done that, I'm gonna jump down.
Okay.
And search the last 2 bodies.
And as you get down there, you see Dalibor, who's down there, and he's sort of tending to his fallen friend, sort of taking a couple of his belongings. He takes like a sort of, not a necklace, but like a rope kind of thing that was around his neck. He unties it. You see him sort of put that in his satchel. So he's doing that.
I'll let him have his privacy, and I'll check the last 2 bodies.
Great. Was there anything you wanted to do while Erland was doing that? So Graven's holding him, so.
Orba's just staring at Graven with her big, beautiful eyes.
I'm
Dull
gonna
eyes.
look at him and you said you have a family, right?
Yes,
I'm assuming you made a promise to them that you were going to come home.
I did.
And I'm going to look at Graven. There are always going to be loose ends. We're never going to kill all the loose ends.
I see that I am outnumbered here. I would have you forget everything you've seen and heard here.
All right.
We would ask that maybe you repay mercy with mercy, right? So you forget us, we forget you. You continue deceiving people for the rest of your life, you go back to your family, hopefully you don't deceive them too.
All right.
Did you have any other missions that you were on?
That was the one. Something specific you have in mind?
No, just wondering where you're off to next.
Like I said back to Netter's Nook, they will likely give me a new copy of the ledger after some kind of reprimanding.
What kind of trouble would you be in?
Well, if I thought that the books had fallen into unknown hands, it would probably be worse. But as I said, they are destroyed, so that is better than nothing.
These ledgers, do you transport them in any kind of order?
Just the ones they tell me to.
It's probably better for both you then, and for us, if your, commander or leader or whoever you have to report to doesn't know that you were captured. They just think that, you were overrun and that you managed to run away and hide. It's probably better for you that way too, right? Save some tail.
I'll probably lie to them and
Then
say
the
it was
truth,
lizard folk.
yes.
Will they believe you?
Perhaps.
These 4 that we fell, that they will believe that lizard folk or copper claw bears slayed them.
If it was enough of them, yes.
Well, let's hope they don't do an examination of the bodies, but yeah.
I won't be taking the bodies with me.
I mean, anyone in the gentle void, but yeah.
So it sounds like we're letting him go?
I don't think anyone's thrilled about it, but yeah.
Push him towards his rapier.
He kind of holds his hands and he reaches down.
You will forget about this tortoise. Go south.
And he slowly kind of backs up to the edge. And he puts a foot on the edge and he gives one kind of look back at everybody. And he starts to climb down the edge.
Slime of Mars.
So what did I find on Hamilar and
Yes.
the other guy?
On Gerver's body, you find a longbow. Nothing particularly special about the markings or anything. A quiver with about a dozen arrows. There's a parchment with a note on it. It's very small, very simple, one sentence. Slithering trackers back around the honey coast. Fire is effective. Say it again. Slithering trackers. That's a type of creature, a slithering tracker.
Just like that.
Back around the honey coast. And if you look at your map of the sort of routes up to Navikapur from Tuktu, the red route, the coastal route, you pass by the honey coast. That's,
Oh, okay.
that's a portion
Yeah.
of the eastern coast.
Oh, up by it's like half a day's journey away from Leopold's.
Yeah, and there's a decent bit of terrain between those two. But yes, honey
Leaving
coast.
trackers back around the honey coast.
Fire is effective. He seemed to be, I don't know, hunting these creatures or looking to destroy these creatures. Fire is effective.
Okay.
15 gold pieces in a small pouch. He also has a pouch of caltrops with him.
What are those again?
Caltrops are like a sort of metal spiked trap that you scatter along the ground and, keep people step on them. It's a trap, basically. They scatter across the ground.
Love that.
And then he also has a climbing kit on.
Nice.
I am going to be encumbered.
So he lumbers over.
How many slots are left on
I was like, you don't have enough room for
Lumbers over to Hamlar's body.
Our horses are back at the fucking Acqly Grove too.
Yes, you're on foot.
Yeah.
Hamlar has a simple wand that looks like it's made of some kind of whitish wood. He had sort of a spell casting
Swish
focus.
and flick.
Stop.
It has a little tassel on one end that dangles off. It looks like it might be a tuft of animal fur of some kind.
Okay.
You just murdered that person.
Cute!
Just fleck off the blood.
Look at that.
Look, it's good as new.
Of the 5 hunters, Hamlar was kind of the one with the best looking clothes. He's not wearing like noble's clothes or anything, but he had a nice tunic that looks like it's made of a fine silk, although it's now stained in blood. He had a little pouch with 8 gold pieces. He had a healing potion on him.
Ooh.
And a few sticks of incense.
Oh. Could work those while we rest.
Healing. Sorry, Louise got the healing potion.
Champion?
And then what was the last thing?
Sticks of incense. 3 sticks of incense of
The
some kind.
most important part of this whole hall.
Okay.
He picks up the incense. He's like, "Oh, it's so heavy."
I can't fit
No,
them.
I'm gonna have to do a little math to see how encumbered I am, but I am definitely encumbered.
Could share the gold.
What does encumbered mean in terms of movement? Or?
In terms of, I mean, we're playing it by ear in terms of like out of combat, but you would have your movement in combat, and you can only take 1 action per turn of your
Okay, yeah.
no bonus actions.
Well, no, what I need to do is I need to take time to like do math to figure out how encumbered I am.
Yeah, I mean, for the purposes of out of combat, it's really like you move slower. It's like and it's heavy, so I mean.
I will.
I have like 20 slots.
I'll sort of
We
like.
use a custom slot system for those
yeah.
for encumbered.
I will, I'll wait for the group to come down. I'll be searching the bodies.
Sure.
And I guess I'll say to the archer, I'm sorry.
It was a risk. His presence was a gift.
His presence was a gift. Is there anything, do we need to carry him back? Is there any sort of burial process? I'll be walking over towards him.
As I said, our plan is to return tomorrow to bury the tortoise. I believe we'll bury him nearby as a token of his sacrifice.
Now that I'm closer to the tortoise doesn't seem dead. It doesn't seem dead.
Indeed. I mean, since you've been down here, like around no movement at all or anything like that.
You just
Anything other than its like massive size? Anything of interest, like on the shell? Are there any?
Give me an investigation check. And as he's sort of taking a peek, what are you guys doing up at the top there? Because he's taking a moment here to root through the bodies.
Dirty 20.
Raven, I was nervous just as well.
I know. I look. If it comes back to bite us in the ass, I'll take full responsibility.
Well,
We'll
if
see.
he knows my description and matches it with my name, then I'm definitely in trouble.
Well, you are
Why are you
kind
all
of.
giving me arguments now to not have let him go?
Yeah, what are you
Let's
doing?
just
Look, what we need to do
move on.
is keep moving forward and rest. I mean, I certainly need a rest. My operation of blundered into combat the way I did, but
You all fought very well.
As did
Nature
you.
will be appreciative.
yeah, I'm really sorry about the tortoise, mate, and your friend.
Is it too much to ask if the fallen enemies also get a proper burial?
Do you wish it so? Then they will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Orba's gonna look to Graven, put a little hand on his own.
Tense at first, but yeah.
Thank you.
Should we go?
I'm gonna take like a really quick second, just kneel down, kind of like say a word in front of the tortoise, and like.
Okay, you guys are up at the
We're
top.
up at the
You'll
top,
you need
right.
to sort of climb down or drop down.
I want to get down
Sure,
first,
yeah.
then. I'm kind of.
Safira sort of goes ahead of you guys, starts to climb down the side of the monument there.
Yeah.
You follow her down.
Okay, you guys are heading as well.
Now that they're down there.
Great. So they're coming down
Yeah.
while as you're sort of approaching the tortoise.
Yeah, so I'll sort of. Well, I have quite a bit of loot. Does anyone not have a healing potion anymore?
Oh,
You don't have one?
I don't believe so. No, I think I used it.
oh, great.
All right, I'll give one of my potions of healing to Orba.
Right.
Also, magic users, there's a wand with a tassel here. Is this of interest to you?
Is it pretty?
I mean, look here.
Yeah, it looks cool. And I kind of pick it up and like.
The tuft or anything,
Yeah.
the markings don't mean anything to you, but it looks quite beautiful. Yes, it's intricately sort of carved.
Is that something that
Um,
you could use? Do you know?
Yeah, possibly.
Oh,
In-
sorry.
incense as well, if anyone
Anyone like
has any use
incense?
for that.
What do those do?
I think it just smells good.
No.
For meditation, perhaps.
Bows. Safira, I'll give Safira 12 arrows.
Oh, cheers, mate. I'm gonna.
And then,
Put 'em
is this longbow of use to you at all?
Can I check the stats against
Yeah,
my?
it looks the same as yours. Yours actually looks.
Can I check
Yeah.
the stats?
She unrolls a thing. She's like.
This is a year. No.
She clicks
Like,
vendor and sells it.
Hold Z to compare.
It does not look nicer than yours, and it doesn't look sort of magical or imbued in any way.
Okay.
An anti-
now.
I have an antitoxin if anyone would like one.
Mm-hmm.
Antitoxin, anyone?
I've already got one.
I'm definitely overburdened, so either we leave it behind or
Take it?
someone else
I
needs
can
to take
take it if you need
Yeah,
me
give
to.
it to
Right.
Beezaura.
Antitoxin to Beezy. No one cares about the incense.
Nobody cares about the incense.
That also doesn't take up a slot. That's a inconsequential.
Take them.
Oh, I'm taking the incense then.
Well, you should
It
take
is
a
my
meditation.
incense.
Duh.
They're like
Yes,
little-
I'm gonna light some candles next time I do my breathing exercises.
sure.
Aw.
Will that give me advantage? Climbing kit. There's a climbing kit here as well.
One of you two?
I'll give it to the Goliath.
That's a
Graven.
medium item.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Caltrips are traps, you said?
Yeah, it's a trap, but you throw it on.
These are
Give me the
show the caltrips as perhaps is useful. Perhaps an archer or a magic user.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I actually don't definitely have enough room for those, but
It would take a small slot.
I'll hold on to it. For now.
Caltrips.
Sort of pouch of caltrips.
sorry.
That's a.
Do those
that's a-
Small.
Do those ivory pieces take up any slots?
No, that's like a piece of jewelry.
Okay, I probably need to pass off something else here to someone.
I'm just imagining Erland lumbering over after looting all the bodies. He's like, I'm so sorry about your friends.
Truly.
Safira,
Yeah.
if you died, would you want to
Okay.
be buried with your bow?
Honestly, I always thought being buried was a bit odd. I think I'd rather be burned.
That doesn't help my question.
What do you mean?
Well, I feel weird taking this beautiful wand, and I don't feel like I earned it, and it's this person's, and they're dead now.
Well, if you
Then
don't
sell it.
like, well then if you don't like it,
Could
then
sell it.
if you feel weird about it, then I feel like I know this is a bit hippy dippy maybe. I don't know. That's not in canon.
Hippie. It's a location in Kira.
It's hippy dippy. It's a place we don't want to go there.
It's a little pachi-kachi.
Orba.
Well, I think if you're using a magical item, it should be something that speaks to you, right?
Well, it's very pretty,
But
but
if it, I don't think if I'm dead, I don't think I'm going to be missing my bow. Okay, I'm dead, right? So I'm sure it's fine. I don't
Is
think
a wand,
my
is a
spirit's
wand
going to
something
miss
that
it.
someone is attuned to?
not
It's not something.
it's more of a
So,
sentimental.
if you think you can use it,
Well, I have this. And she's gonna hold a crystal. Does the same thing, but
You
It's
can't
not a wand.
merge the two in any way. Safira has no idea how this works, so she's like,
You affixed it to in some way, but that wouldn't improve its magic
Right.
qualities at all.
it's doubly amazing.
it would allow you to wave for crystal around like this, though.
okay. I think about it. I'll hold on to it, I guess.
Okay, sure.
Burned, huh?
Can
I don't know.
go up to the tortoise and maybe even kind of muster the energy for a spare the dying and just see if
Sure.
if
Graven
there's
starts to
anything
walk
to.
up to the tortoise. I think, Erland, were you going to head there as well? I don't know if you...
Oh,
Or
I
you
thought
sort of
I thought I'd
pivoting
been.
after?
I thought I was near. Was I intercepted before I got there?
Yeah, so
Okay.
that looting of their bodies, they were talking during that time.
Oh
So
yeah,
as you were
right.
heading
I
to the
rolled a
tortoise
dir-
is kind of
I
when
rolled
they-
a dirty 20
Yeah,
on that. That's
so
right,
as
right,
they
right.
were sort of coming down,
In the idea that seeing if it has any life in
Yeah.
it,
you reach out. You don't sense any. And you approach this massive creature lying motionless at the center of this odd monument. The last bits of light that the sky has to offer pouring through the roof's opening, and they kind of highlight the aged ridges of this tremendous shell. A veritable fortress of nature's design that has, at long last, failed to protect its lone inhabitant. Its sharp, scaled feet are curled in toward its body. And on closer inspection, a series of thin cuts and punctures have been made at joints and down around the neck to ensure a quick death. Undoubtedly not the work of amateurs. The shell has a rippling, fractal design that originates from pointed peaks along its back, almost like spider webs draped over anthills. A topographical map of time laid out before you. As you guys are looking, Dalibor approaches, after sort of paying his respects to his fallen friend, speaking with Erland briefly. With ginger footsteps, he kind of lays his weapon down, before kneeling by the tortoise's head. His long braided hair coils slightly down by his boots as he does so. And as is customary of the Acqly elves, his face remains very neutral, but his weakened posture and some deep exhalations tell a story of sorrow.
Do the wounds on the creature seem like they could have been caused by, like the killing wounds seem to be could have been caused by some of the weapons we saw them fighting with?
Definitely, yes. I mean, possibly. There's a couple puncture wounds that easily could have been a rapier or a spear of some kind. There's a couple cuts that could have been an axe, or, I mean, yes.
I'm gonna like take his lead and kneel down
Sure.
next to him as well.
Ninke knew in his heart that the tortoise was already dead. I had to see it to know for myself.
I'm sorry.
The Grove has suffered a great loss here today, and I fear the coming conflict with the lizard folk. This squall season will be a mighty test.
When we get to Leopold's garrison, I know that you're looking for more pat walls. If we find someone, do you want us to recruit for you when we're there?
Is there someone you would trust to recommend?
I mean, no one I know, but I could certainly look around and maybe send you some candidates. You could, I don't know, talk to them.
Despite our appreciation, deep appreciation for your help here today, I don't believe now is a good time to be trusting strangers.
That's fair. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you have to feel that way.
It was my idea
Well,
to
it's
seek the help of these hunters.
It's not your fault. You didn't know. We could have been just as mercenary. It's hard to know who to trust.
Do you think now that the tortoise is dead, it will rile up the reptiles even more?
I think that they will know of its death somehow, and this will anger them, but it is good that the tortoise was not taken from the grove. That means something. Have you traveled far? To many places?
Not too many, but a few, yeah.
How do you know when to trust someone you don't know?
Honestly, I've made that mistake, the mistake that you made, 1,000,000 times. So I'm not sure I'm the best person to ask. I've come to a feeling of, you've got to do your best to trust your instincts, I suppose. I've learned to ask more questions, ask where people are coming from, ask why they want to help me. If they can't give a good enough answer, if they don't seem to have, qualms about double-crossing, I don't know, lying. I think I've gotten a bit better at sussing those people out from the people who aren't pretending.
It is hard, then,
Yeah,
to know.
unfortunately it is.
And Dalibor kind of looks at you, kind of wide, glassy eyes. The light reflecting off the tortoise's shell kind of shifts a little bit as the evening sets in even further. And the shadows are cast across the shell in such a way that it almost creates the illusion of movement. The light kind of moves quickly and it almost looks like a bit of movement. And it seems like Dalibor catches it too. He kind of lifts his chin and looks over at the tortoise. And you feel that your eyes are playing tricks on you, as you see what could only be described as the tortoise's outline separating from itself. Like lifting a stencil after drawing a shape on a piece of paper. All of the spaces in between are filled in, but none of the lines holding it together. It has a wispy kind of greenish hue like that of malachite, and it rises, retaining enough of its shape to see the spectral form of the tortoise looking down on you. And Dalibor looks, and in a kind of focused trance trains his gaze on the tortoise. And he seems to be kind of trying to figure something out in his brain, as if new information's kind of quickly being processed. The spirit is angry. I know this. Like Ninke knew in his heart that it was dead.
Is there anything we can do to help it with that?
It knows that its time had not yet come. We failed it. It had more to give, and it wishes to stay tethered to this world. And he looks up at it and addresses the tortoise sort of straight on. And he speaks in Elvish to the tortoise. Ahoshua rikionei, rikoshua efilfusif, eloa oshu. And for the first time, you get a kind of... the language doesn't have that kind of easy monotone that a lot of the Acqly elves have. It has a little more passion, a little more vigor. And you can understand it. It has sort of dialect to it, but the words are familiar. He says to the spirit, our spiritual leaders would be honored to speak with you, to find a way to keep you with us, to bind your spirit to something tangible. And the tortoise sort of drifts forward ever so slightly. It creaks and sort of squeals a little bit. And a couple times it kind of makes a noise, and then in a kind of disappointed, angry shake, you see a kind of... and it seems to reject this notion.
I'm gonna take my, wild ordnance bow, and I'm gonna kind of, with my head down, place the bow in front of it.
And Dalibor kind of watches this happen. He sort of sees the reaction, kind of sort of disappointment washing over him, and he looks to you as you take the bow out. And once again, it seems like more information is kind of processing through his brain. The great tortoise shows recognition. There was another who carried a weapon of this nature, a pat wall of a time long past. The great tortoise wonders who you are, that you think yourself worthy to carry its spirit.
I'm gonna look at the tortoise and address it in Elfish. I don't know that I am. I can tell you who I am, though. I'm Safira. I was trained by Washi Farood. I'm not sure who you met, or who had this bow that you've seen before, but I do my best to only use it when I really need to. If you want to remain in this world and, look, I always try to use it for good. And I recognize that I'm fallible, and I need guidance. And frankly, you seem quite wise. So, I could use all the help I could get.
And he considers you for a moment. And it leans forward. And like inhaling the vapors from a hot cup of tea, the wisps of green swirl quickly into the bow. And a deep, innate connection between Safira and her weapon lets her know that the tortoise spirit has found a new home.
We got a turtle.
She's gonna have the head of a wolf, the body of a bear, and the butt of a turtle.
Yes,
They don't have
feature is the
Velcro
butt.
on them yet. I need because I didn't need that. I need them.
Or the arms of a turtle. Could you imagine?
So how
on a
much
bear?
of
So a reminder that the spirit, whatever's chosen as the spirit, does not affect the appearance of the creature, just the head and the body.
Oh my god.
So when you have the
Good
body of the tortoise, it really looks like either, like a wolf with a shell, basically, or a
So
bear with a shell.
cute. Look at its
A
little.
wolf
So
with
how
a
much
shell.
of that
Teenage
interaction
Mutant
was
Ninja Wolf.
literally like I know I can understand Elfish, but like how much of the tortoise, like how much was visible to people on the outside?
All of it. Every bit of it.
Oh, we saw the tortoise
Yes,
spirit?
You saw the tortoise spirit. You saw
You
everything.
guys saw the bear spirit
Yes.
too, I
Yep.
think.
Or
Like,
Beezaura was there for the
Easy
bear, and she saw the bear
I
spirit.
don't.
Yes.
I think this is the first time I've seen something go into your bow.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
yes.
So does-
Old news.
yeah.
Oh, another one?
The bear did it better.
Bear one was
the way
a real
the bear
pull.
got in
This was a little iffy.
And as the last sort of wisps and trails are
It's like
swirling
Orba.
down into the bow, you watch as Dalibor kind of sees this interaction take place. This is a great honor.
I know. I'm kind of just I'm literally sitting there with the bow in my hands, like
Yeah. Duh.
still trying to kind of.
I hope you are able to serve this former warden of the Grove better than we did.
I hope so too. Although I think you did the best that you could. His presence was a gift, and now I guess it will continue to be for me. For which I'm very lucky.
His presence, what is a gift, is a gift. Following a successful mission, and he kind of now addresses the group as a whole. Ninke believes it best to bury the tortoise here. I don't know if I said that to everyone. This is no small task, but not a task for you. We will bring someone back from the camp to keep watch and return tomorrow. I think it is time to return.
Yes.
I'm being so weird with this bow now. I'm like, I did the same thing that I did with the bear when I got it. I'm like petting it.
Again, sort of in a similar fashion to when the bear was introduced to the bow. There's a
playing
little bit
around
of
in there.
conversation happening, as if they're sort of
Yeah.
getting used to each other's presence. You hear sort of the screeching of the turtle, a little bit of quiet growling, and sort of bearing, as you can hear them sort of
Turtles gonna
meeting
take
each
up a lot
other
of
for
space
the
in
first
that
time.
bow.
Yeah,
They're like,
Guys, it's a tortoise.
tortoise.
Yeah, it is.
But he's huge.
Did I say turtle?
You said turtle.
You've disrespected the spirit. It leaves.
It's like, turtle? Who said that?
As we start walking, as I'm near Graven,
Yep.
can I hold out my silvered gloves and just be like, just until we get back to the horses, do not hold on to these?
He's like, McDonough.
Not again!
These stupid gloves.
Just until we get back to the
Level 4
horses.
Just put them on next time.
If you wear them,
Then I'd have to carry the nunchucks, then you'd have to carry those.
Brother.
Thank you.
Could have given us some of that gold you fucking picked up.
That doesn't count for
Yeah,
anything.
it doesn't weigh anything up to a certain
You know
point.
what?
Mine does.
Erland's
I'm one of
garbage.
Erland's trash.
It's 3 pounds.
3
Or 3 slots.
units.
Those are 3 units?
Yeah.
Almost
silver.
all weapons are
They're
medium.
heavy.
I'm gonna put them in my horse.
Hey!
And as the sort of walking begins back to the camp, that is where we're going to take a little
Oh
break
my
before
God.
we return to the Acqly. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Welcome back. We're officially back
Hey.
for real.
Yay.
I'm looking over. It looks
Did we
pretty
drop any
good. I don't
frames?
think it looks like maybe a couple
when
somewhere
you
in
made
there.
that tortoise sound, there was a noise, and I was like, "What's
It was a computer waking up. You're
I
good.
was like,
Yeah.
see, that
Yeah.
sound
happened at
It was a
exactly the same
mechanical
my
time.
face.
tortoise.
You were like, it went like, I'm like,
Yes.
what's happening right here? I'm like, I
I saw
didn't
you
do
jump. It's
anything.
great.
We will return after a short break and figure out where the group takes it from here. After a successful mission, a little interrogation, a little playing hardball, and then doing the right thing.
I think we saw some new people jump in. We have
I literally just wanted to be like, do you know who Beezaura is?
Oh, I got it.
I didn't know. I saw new people. I saw new people.
Tell them about it.
Hey, I worked really hard on editing together a recap.
He did.
That plays in between. I saw some new people showed up, and I just looked at Jordan, who works very, very hard to create these wonderful recaps. So stick around. We'll be back in 20 minutes, and stay tuned for more. And you can find out what happened last time.
Yeah, last time.
Tabletop Notch, so you're all caught up for what's about to happen. Thank you.
Yeah,
Tom.
and actually nothing to do
That's
with
so
it.
much
Thank
harder
you.
than you make it look.
Really?
I never want to do that
She's
again.
had 60 episodes. Well, no, not since those were out. Anyway, we'll be back. We'll see you on the other side.
Thank you all.
guys so
Oh,
much.
and wait, sorry. I wanted
Yep.
to say also we had a sub. Have Maniac 88. Thank you so much
Thank you
for your
so much.
sub.
Awesome.
That's very
Welcome.
wonderful.
And-
Max, 2 months in a row. Woohoo!
All right, guys. We'll see you on the other side.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
In a few minutes.
61. Picking the right fights, Beezaura does her best to stave off the angered Kuuzni outside the soul shelter.
Where is Graven?
Oh no.
You know someone named Graven?
Do you wish for your companions to come back and find you dead?
Sir, I don't want to anger you, and I don't want to die. But
Make a dexterity save.
Beezaura relents, finds her companions in the shelter, and informs Graven that Kuuzni demands his presence.
Has Kuuzni taken a human form? Has he taken...
yes.
Didn't he say that that's when gods are vulnerable? Goliath, is this an
hurt me.
opportunity to kill a god?
No! What do you mean? No, it's not!
Hoping that it's just a conversation and not annihilation, our friends climb out of the soul shelter and Graven lays eyes on his god.
When I last took a mortal form, it was to bask in the glory of all that my previous cleric had achieved in his lifetime. Not for sniveling, not for whining. Kill the beast, and then wallow in your memories all you want.
Kuuzni wraps the party in white-hot chains, takes Graven's left hand, and begins removing the holy symbol that's embedded beneath his skin.
I need you. Please.
There has never been two clerics of Kuuzni existing at the same time. I pour all of my power into one superior being. But you are broken, Graven. And since you cannot bear it all, there is no reason not to share it.
Kuuzni snaps the symbol in half, keeping a piece for himself and leaving the other for Graven. Kuuzni vanishes, leaving Graven alone with his companions. Orba shamefully climbs back down into the soul shelter.
Where's Orba?
I'll go find her.
Graven, I'm sorry.
No, don't be.
Erland finds Orba sitting in the shelter.
Couldn't help him.
It's a god, Tiefling. When I trained at Atonement's End, we're not taught to be the strongest, we're not taught to be the most powerful. What we're taught is to wait for our moment to strike, and then when we do, strike true. Patience. Know is that today is not the day we are going to fight a god. Today is not the day that you would be able to save your friend. And that's all right, Tiefling.
With resolve, Orba rejoins her friends outside, and the group rides off through the grove. But they stop hours later to lend a hand to a group of battle-worn Acqly elves.
We prepare offerings for a great tortoise that dwells near here. The creature is centuries old and a former warden of the grove.
In order to reach the tortoise, the elves needed hired hands to protect them from the copperclaw bears that may be lurking nearby.
There was a group of hunters passing through. They did scare off the copperclaws as we requested. But in doing so, they were brought too close to the tortoise, and their eyes glistened with greed.
The strangers turned on the elves, who were forced to retreat and leave the tortoise to fend for itself.
While I fear it may be dead, we've reason to believe that the strangers are holding a position near where it was found. In speaking with them before their betrayal, they were set to meet a carriage of friends who were coming down from Leopold's garrison. I believe it is their intention to wait for this carriage to get close, which will provide them with both reinforcements and a way to move the tortoise more easily. We cannot allow this to happen.
Our friends agree to assist the elves in taking back the shelter housing the tortoise before the reinforcements arrive.
You see Beezaura just go tumbling to the ground.
Beezaura, you made it on the board.
Oh, Beezy.
I should have.
Just in time to make death saving throws.
Neither of those.
It's not funny.
It's a little fun.
While reviving Beezaura and Safira, the group surrounds the final enemy.
Comment to that as we're rolling this episode.
Jeez Louise. Did the tortoise somehow survive the invasion? Who will become the new Cleric of Kuuzni? Will our friends' streak of unsuccessfully interrogating their captors end this time round? Find out next time on Tabletop Notch.
Welcome back, everybody, to Tabletop Notch.
Whoa.
Wow.
Whoa.
The party has finished up their mission to hopefully, ideally rescue the tortoise, but that was a sort of hopeful thought.
We kind of did.
True.
I have
The
it
essence
now,
of the
so.
tortoise.
Yes.
Safira has had some time to think about how the tortoise affects her capabilities. And the trek back to the elven encampment is a quiet one. It's not the first time that a success has felt in some ways like defeat as well. Military operations, escapes, freedoms. Victories of this kind rarely come without a cost. But the ship sails on. And while that sometimes may not feel like much, at this moment, it is enough. But the only way to truly ensure that you never reach the port you're heading for is to stop. As you approach, a steady fire has been built up that's visible from a great distance. Silhouettes of tents and pointed ears popping up between the trees. This small community seems to have mostly split into two groups. There are some seated around the fire, enjoying an evening meal, and others crowded near one of the party's horses, that as you get closer, is identifiable as Dodds. A couple elves are muttering quietly with their hands on the horse's back and shoulders, while another is dipping their thumb into a small wooden bowl and applying some streaks of reddish paint onto the coat of the horse in a pattern that looks almost like little number 7s. One of the elves...
Graven has a gut reaction to...
Fine.
One of the elves that you haven't spoken with hears you moving through the brush. He's sitting next to Ninke, puts a hand on his shoulder to sort of get his attention, and Ninke turns. He stands quickly, and he moves to meet you at the edge of the camp. He doesn't immediately speak. He instead waits for each person to emerge one at a time from the tree line, and he takes stock of everyone's condition. And the first person to speak is Dalibor, who was there with you at the tortoise. It is done. They fought with great strength and saw us through to the end. And
Ninke responds. Mersh. His presence was a gift, was it not?
It was, yes.
Yes. And Dalibor speaks again. The great tortoise is dead, but its spirit is safe, and perhaps its anger quelled. Still, we should be prepared for the possibility of a larger altercation with the lizard folk. And at this, Ninke and some of the others that are nearby at the fire all kind of take this information in, sort of nodding, thinking, preparing in their minds. And finally, Ninke speaks to you. We are forever grateful for your service. As promised, the gold and satchel of papers has been set aside. There is plenty to eat, plamba, pelipas, assorted nuts, as well as rabbit. And Nurula has erected 2 additional tents for a more comfortable night's rest.
That's all incredibly kind, thank you.
Singalan, Penia, and 2 of the elves nearby sort of stand. You will head to the monument and keep watch. In the morning we will return for a proper burial. Please. And he motions to the sort of fire in the campsite.
Can I ask him as we're sort of
Yeah.
being guided there?
Yeah.
What are they doing to Dodd's horse?
Penia was the first to recognize his horse. They shower it now with kindness for the service to a friend. The meaning of the sevens is unclear. It was known that Dodd had this marking on his back. He spoke nothing of it, but it was done in permanence, so it is assumed that the symbol had some special significance to him. I'm afraid I don't know more than that.
Are you keeping the horse, or are we welcome to?
If you find your reward sufficient, I am sure there are those who would wish to keep it in the grove, but to take it with you would not be an offense to me. You have proven yourselves worthy of such a steed. I will leave that up to you.
We have more than enough horses for all of us. Don't need to bring along that extra, really, do we?
Alright.
If I may ask, I believe when we were first discussing payment, you said there was an additional sheet of paper along with the hand-printed papers, yes?
Yes. Give me a moment.
Thank you.
And he walks towards one of the tents, and you can see him sort of moving in. It looks like he's rummaging through. And as you guys are sort of continuing to move in, you're sort of putting your bags down and things. He points as he's sort of walking over there. It looks like 2 tents have been additionally set up on the other side of the fire that don't have anyone in them at the moment, that are, again, that sort of stretched animal hide, purple-painted markings that are available for you.
Cute.
And there's 2 sort of large wooden bowls near the fire that, as he said, are filled with food. There's a number of plamba fruits, nuts. There's another sort of tray that has looks like a number of strips of meat that have been cooked. They're not like piping hot at the moment, but sort of cooked previously. So that's all sort of available to the group.
Did you say the plumba food was whole or mashed?
There are a couple whole plamba fruits.
Because those keep, right?
Yes, they keep for a very long time. That's sort of part of their appeal, yeah.
But they could have a nut in them.
Yeah. Alright. Graven sees Orba eyeing the fruits. Perhaps those can serve as rations for later on.
A number of the plambas have been cut up, but it looks like there's probably 3 intact whole plamba fruits.
Okay.
We're still on the road.
It's just fun.
I know.
You can, now disperse the fun out, right? You can have fun. No, it's not fun. Right?
Oh, you don't mean to share them. You mean to
No, I
have
mean
them
like over
later.
time. I mean,
Oh.
Periodically.
No, I didn't. I don't want to.
Don't blow all your fun at once.
There's a limited amount of fun.
It's called delayed gratification, Orba.
I don't know what that means.
That's clear.
And as you're speaking, Ninke returns. And he has a couple of things. He has a small sort of, animal hide with sort of purple markings, a little pouch. And he holds that up first. A total of 54 gold and 3 silver. I mentioned it was close to 60. I hope this is sufficient. And he holds it out.
Plenty.
Brilliant, thank you.
Sorry, Tiggs. And then he holds up the next thing.
Divide.
It's a small, very small leather knapsack. Just one long strap that looks like it would be kind of slung over as opposed to sort of 2 straps that would be worn on the back. There's no markings on it at all. And he holds it out, sort of holding it at the strap. It's very long, and he sort of holds it out. Sort of the satchel.
Oh, can I thank you. And I'm gonna open it and just kind of
You take a look in.
take a look.
Inside is a stack of papers. 12 thick pieces of parchment with varying handprints looking to be marked in a kind of rich, thick ink. Effectively similar to the other ones that you've seen, including the ones in your possession. And there's one more piece of paper sort of on the top of that larger stack, smaller, with a bit of writing on it. And it isn't signed with a name. Should you read it? And it says, Warden Sherv. Here's the 12 loaves you required. I felt like a fucking errand boy doing bullshit around Tuktu, so let's wrap this up. I want access to the prison block like you promised. I know you've got high security captives in there, but I don't give a shit about them. You can spare me the lecture. Just take me to my brother. I'll speak my piece, and we'll go our separate ways.
Okay. I'm gonna show the note to the party.
High security captives.
Yeah.
The favors were only to have a conversation with their brother, not to get them out?
It's pretty extraordinary.
I
12
assume that
favors.
it might cost more than 12 favors to get someone exonerated from, a crime that presumably has gotten them locked up for a long time.
Well, yes, I mean, look
And
what other
specify
people have
low
to do.
favors as well. These aren't like,
Yeah. Who do we think had more information on either side of that conversation?
How do you mean?
Were they going there to share something, or were they going there to find something else?
Oh,
Said
of the
or
brother and the
Said's
sister.
brother.
Depends on what he got locked up for. If he was conspiring something, perhaps she's trying to get information out of him.
Maybe.
How much gold was it?
54 gold and 3 silver.
When
I divided out between everybody. How much do we all get?
It's like 10.8, but there's no 0.8.
I knew when
It's
you did
in,
that.
they're all in
10 gold.
denominations.
Oh yeah, so 10
silver.
gold, 8 silver, and then someone keeps 3 extra silver.
Or you could also just give us the other gold that you found. That
Can make a change.
Good. 10 gold, 8
You
silver.
can disperse it however you
10 gold, 8 silver.
I have the other 3 silver. I'm the one holding it.
Sorry.
10 gold, 3 silver.
10 gold, 8
8
silver.
Graven drops 5 silver in the dirt.
Spits on it.
10 gold.
Blood money.
8 silver. Then I have 3 silver.
I mean, are we going to
Oh, so I get 2.
poke our heads into something that we wished to be absolved of? Any information regarding Said and this person that's...
This is in the garrison.
Have we been
This
left
isn't
relatively
Leopold's.
alone by the Acqly Owls?
Yeah,
at this
he's
point?
left you to sit,
Okay.
and it seemed like they had eaten already. It's pretty late in the evening at this point, so
My gold is taken
he's
off
nearby,
the
but he's not
walls.
sitting with you.
As
I have me silver.
these high leverage prisoners could certainly be of interest to us, but I do sort of worry about infiltrating a prison with the little one.
Yes, I would be very nervous about going
Also,
in
if we
there.
don't know anything about this person,
We don't know if they have any information that could be of any benefit to us at all. It could be just a wild goose chase that gets us closer to the gentle void.
Oh, I think I'm less interested in Said's brother specifically, and the high security captives could be.
You mean
you want
to
access to
interview
other
them?
captives.
But like who?
Access to the
prison
12
block, like you
prison
promised.
blocks. You could get access to the prison block, and perhaps see whether high security captives are in there. That could be of use to us, but again, I don't think the Halfling should be involved.
I think we see what Garrison
The garrison.
Garrison
Leopold's
looks
garrison.
like. Yes.
Yes, I agree.
Before we make any.
You're familiar with its existence. You haven't been inside. Beezaura has been inside. It's a pretty high traffic sort of route there. In addition to sort of serving as a central spot for a lot of sort of Gentle Void operations, there's a significant sort of rest stopness to it. Like, people come through there. There's lodgings available there. You know, people do stay there on their way between Tuktu and Navika.
Is it a known Gentle Void stronghold?
Yes.
Okay.
Beezaura, I apologize if
Less so to Erland, but to people of Antusuyu,
Right,
yes.
you have already mentioned this, but have you in your travels been to Leopold's?
I was. Jeez.
We're falling
going on?
apart.
One
time, gas leak in here.
That is where I was released from when I was.
Ah.
Right, so maybe going back there is definitely not a good idea.
For me.
And you chose this route over all the other routes we suggested?
Wait, how long ago did you leave this place?
It was where I escaped from.
Right,
And
but
but
was
not
that
long
like
ago.
2
That was
months
like-
ago?
No, probably less
Yes.
Is that where
I didn't actually.
Jillian put you in a box?
She found me just.
Not at Leopold's, but yes, not
How did you escape the garrison? It seems like it's a rather high security.
The man I was working under, who didn't realize who I was at first, but figured it out. And he actually let me go.
Oh, so you were not in prison. You were pretending. This was where you were pretending
This
to.
is where she was pretending
This is
to work
where I
for
was
them.
impersonating the Gentle
Yes.
Void, yes.
Oh, so you worked at Leopold's Gap, so you know quite a bit about
How
the
are we
sort of
going
layout.
to get you through
Didn't
Leo?
work at Leopold's Garrison, but yes. You were passing
Right,
through
I
there
was
on your
passing,
way to
yeah.
work up in Navika.
Oh.
Like, are you buddies? with-
Sorry, can you clarify? Sorry, can you clarify? Sorry, can you clarify that?
Oh my god.
He's asking, did you work at Leopold's Garrison?
No. It was just someplace that I had visited on my way. And
On your way to.
Navika Port?
yeah, on my way to Navikapur, I stopped there. And that's where I had the conversation.
Where were you
Right.
traveling from?
Tuktu.
Tuktu.
Wait, you were going? You were on your way to Navikapura? In that last moment with the Gentle Void?
Yes.
Did you travel this exact grove path from Tuktu
No.
to Leopold's? Alright.
I just knew we had to get there, and it seemed the least complicated route. I didn't believe we would have to stop.
Is this Warden Sherv, the
No.
person you were working under?
I haven't heard from him.
Who were you working under? Who were you working under at the Gentle Void?
Fowler, right?
Mohan Fowler.
Do you believe him still
Did
there?
you share that?
Yeah, sorry. I'm just making sure it's pronounced right.
I was throwing my voice. Mohan Fowler.
I just want to make sure I pronounced it right.
It's a name I recognize. I mean,
I don't know if he's still there or what they did with him after I left, because he was creating a diversion for me to get out. So whether he is still alive is...
Maybe he's one of
How
those.
do you
You
know?
know Mohan Fowler?
yeah, I know his name because it's when Jillian gave us all our secret little letters. He was in mine. She recommended that I go talk to him. He's a contact of hers, I suppose.
At Leopold's Garrison?
No, not at the garrison. He's in Navikapura now, I think.
Well,
Small
I
world.
didn't know that.
Sorry, I didn't know
He
it was
was
relevant. I
of
didn't
help
know.
to me, so... I guess...
I mean, it's promising that he was of help to you. I'm hoping he'll be of help to me too. I mean,
So how long were you at Leopold's Garrison?
Not long.
You don't know
A
any
couple
of
of
the...
days, yeah.
You don't know which high leverage prisoners are there?
No. I was simply...
I don't know if it's worth our time. I
Passing
mean, honestly, I
No, I was going to ask, is there a way around Leopold's Garrison, or
Well, shouldn't
do we have to pass through it?
I mean, look, we've passed through Gentle Void checkpoints before.
Yes, but not one where she's specifically worked.
For Beezaura and Graven, who are from Antusuyu, you don't have to literally go through the
through
garrison
it.
itself, but to get so far away that you wouldn't run into anyone coming to and from the garrison, there's that strip of land between the Honey Coast and Leopold's Garrison. That's a very it's part of the Rocky Steps of Rome, which I think is also listed there. It's a very sort of poorly traversable terrain. There's a reason why you don't kind of pass between those two. So yes, you don't have to go through the garrison, but you'd be taking a significant detour to get so far away that you don't even see anyone at the garrison or anything like that. Sort of a little... There's a reason why it's kind of a popular checkpoint for people heading north and south.
I mean, we would have reason to believe it's bustly enough that you could literally just go right through, and there's not going to
There's like a civilian portion where people come and stay, or stay the night, or have a meal and then continue. I mean, yes.
There might be somebody like, checking people as they go into the actual thing, but...
Yes. But lots of civilians pass through there all the time.
There's no reason that we couldn't just pass through. If we don't want to linger there, that's fine.
We don't need to make ourselves known. Just keep moving.
Yeah, I think they're right. I mean, I think if we can keep pushing through, we have made it through other checkpoints before, we are going to have to keep our heads down, but that was always going to be the case, no?
Yeah. Yeah, are you going to hang on to the 12 Gentle Void favors?
I mean, I think we should.
No, yeah, I'm just saying, are you going to hang on to them?
Oh, I'm not actually sure that I have any room at all.
Nah, I don't really agree.
I mean, I think for 12 paper I do, yeah.
Paper doesn't.
I mean, yeah, if you want me to, I can hang on to them. Do you guys want me to divvy them up in any way? I mean, we could split them. I mean, or you can just ask me if you want them.
Yeah, I think it's just safe to keep them all in the same place.
Okay, I'll keep them then. I'm gonna write that down, then I have this in my bag, please. Otherwise I will forget.
And separate those just sort of in your notes from the ones Jillian, because Jillian mentioned that hers were possibly relatively high favors. Yeah, these are low. As if the note is accurate, it says they're low favors.
Low. Shut up with the way I remember.
I'm not looking at anything. And even if I looked at your inventory, I wouldn't understand what you had.
She ciphers it, but not intentionally. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Ow.
Having some note shaming going on here right now.
Whatever. It was a good memory.
Safira, did Jillian say what he would do for you?
No, actually, she didn't, not specifically. I mean, she told me that she had shared a past with him, a memory with him, that I'm supposed to share with him, and I'm presuming that that's the favor or the ticket to get him to share some information with me. I mean, I can tell you a little bit about what I'm interested in, what I'm looking at. You know that I'm interested in looking at the Gentle Void because of their role in distributing myconid products, so he's high up in the Gentle Void, and she has, a way to sort of get me to connect with him, so I'm going to try, if I can, I would really, but it's important to me to be able to talk to him. If you want me to pass him any kind of message, I'm happy to do so.
Well,
and a lot of that lines up with what you understand it, because when you guys were headed up, he wanted to work at the docks kind of up there, so if he's involved in sort of distribution of goods, that makes sense.
well, I guess if we get there, maybe I would go see him myself.
Yeah, I mean...
You mean Vikapura?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Well, we're on track to leave in the morning, yes? Hopefully we'll clear the grove. Oh, maybe not by tomorrow, but the next day and a half.
We're gonna get there, Orba. We're gonna get there. And Safira kind of gives her a pat on the back, trying to stay chipper.
Right, Matt, we're like right at the corner of Easton and Vare.
Yeah, I mean, it probably isn't far to get out of... if you're talking about north-south, it's another...
It's probably like a day and a half before we're fully clear of Vare.
Yeah, I need to look, but
something like that,
But again, all that sort of area west of Vare is not the Grove, like the brown parts of the map there.
Right, I just meant like clearing the...
But theoretically, if you reconnect with what is the Acqly Grove Road, that is outside of the Grove.
Oh, that is.
Place.
Oh, so we're just moving. Oh, great.
Mm-hmm.
So we can actually
go straight west.
We can go straight
meet
west.
up with the road and then
and still not hit Des.
Yeah.
Sick.
So the original route was through.
Yeah. So then tomorrow, Tiefling, we should be on. So tomorrow, Tiefling, we should be on the Acqly Grove Road again.
Okay.
Start making some, hopefully, fast travel towards. Well, first the settlement, but then Navikapura.
We're gonna get there.
Okay. Thank you.
Should we rest up then?
Yeah, gosh, I'm dying for a rest.
Well,
How are you feeling?
Tired.
Okay. Maybe some pamba fruit will do you good.
Sit here, eat a bit.
Not the whole
I
one.
think I'd prefer some rabbit.
Fair enough.
Tortoise? Too soon?
I'm gonna start reaching for the food and just kind of start.
There's bowls out that you're
Yeah.
able to eat them. The party kind of sits in a little sort of half circle, reaches into the bowl, sort of picking out the pieces that look good. Fruit, nuts, a little bit of rabbit. You guys have one there. And most of the elves have kind of retreated back to their tents. Ninke's kind of the last ones, and he comes over just before sort of heading in the direction of his tent. Is there anything else before I retire for the evening?
No, I don't think so. But thank you so much for all of this. Your hospitality is, very kind.
Thank you. We will have people keeping watch, but you are welcome to keep your own if you wish it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good night.
I think as he kind of leaves, Doug, I think maybe for the time being, we should probably try to keep our own watches in addition, just because we know that the lizard folk are
I agree.
prowling this area, so.
Fine.
Fine by me. I can go first.
Okay, I'll go second.
Good.
Fourth.
I'll take last.
Okay.
The party retreats to their tents. Everybody give me perception checks with advantage as the other scouts there to kind of potentially aid.
Oh,
Oh my goodness gracious.
21.
10.
15.
18.
As the people keeping watch kind of stay outside the tents, you do notice that a couple of the Acqly elves, they kind of station themselves up on kind of rocks or things, just keeping an eye out. They don't really check in with each other too much. Occasionally you see them kind of just look to each other. Sometimes they'll sort of cross your gaze as they do so and sort of give you a slight nod. Nothing happens as the night passes by. And the morning comes. This is a long rest.
Hit me with that long rest.
Restore all hit points, half your hit dice, everything that comes back on a long.
Forget that you only get half your hit dice back in a while.
Yes.
Truly a bummer.
Alright, let me roll for my
Healing girdle.
Oh man, thank goodness gracious.
Hell yeah.
Jacket is back.
Sorry.
So now I have 3.
Does you take your
Healing
life
girdle,
points too?
back to full.
How do I see my...
Not important.
Not important.
I also have to revert to my steps.
Ooh, I can choose my
make a
shield.
new bow, yeah?
Oh, I can make a new bow if I want to. I need
The rest is not only a welcome one, it's a deep one. As the group kind of feeling a slight bit more secure, even when you had a guide, even some of the times that you've spent in the Grove. Just, there's something about this area that you feel like you're in it together with the elves for the first time. This whole time you've been kind of looking in as outsiders, but now feeling like if something were to happen that you could actually possibly count on these people that you're with, which is different than the sort of rest you took at the first camp just outside of EC or just inside of EC. The party rises. And the elves are going about, getting their things. You see Painier's over feeding Dodd's horse early in the morning. Has a number of the painted 7s on it.
Erland, did you say Leopold's garrison would be today? Sorry.
Likely not.
Okay, thank you.
Probably 2 days?
Okay, thank you.
Might not be that much. Might not be 2 full days, is it?
But
I'll double
another
check.
rest.
Probably, yes.
Yeah, the 4 is pretty ambiguous, actually.
Okay, doke.
2, 3.
And as you guys are sort of coming out, stretching, rolling up bedrolls, Ninke greets you. Did you rest well?
very well, thank you.
Yes.
You are not far from the Grove's End, if that is where you are headed. Continue to follow the boundary between EC and Ver to the west. You'll see the red Acqly trees begin to fade until they are absent entirely. And not long after that, you'll start to see a path. It's a dirt road, but well traveled, hard to miss.
That will take you north to Leopold's garrison and beyond.
Well,
Thank
again,
you
Yeah.
for everything.
It is rare that someone traveling through the forest makes such an impact. But you have.
I hope it was a good one.
Yeah, me too.
All presence is a gift.
Well, hopefully it was.
So it was. Dodd was partial to simply saying, good luck. So I'll say that to you now.
Good luck to you too.
Thank you for everything and your assistance. Should we go?
Yes, we shall.
We should be on our way.
The party goes about getting their horses, putting their things up.
Goliath, if you appreciate it.
Gloves.
Put the gloves in the
You'll
horse.
right away.
He has them like ready all the time.
I was about to throw up to him if he hadn't said anything. Garbage.
The steady march of the party resumes. And it's just over an hour into your ride when two things happen. One, the red bark trees that have become so commonplace in the grove you hardly give them a second thought anymore begin to disperse rapidly until they've been swallowed up by their universal brown and green counterparts. The wooden posts with their painted parchments have ceased popping up, and even the air itself has a different kind of taste, a different kind of quality. You've no doubt that, having spent time there is a certain wonder about the grove. And as she takes her leave, Safira picks up a quiet symphony of growls, squeaks, and groans coming from her wild ordnance. The second thing that happens is a light tapping heard overhead. At first spaced out, but then rapidly shortening its interval between ticks, until a steady but inoffensive bit of rainfall comes down around you. The party drapes themselves in coats and cloaks, and with the canopy doing a decent job sheltering you from above, it's louder than it is wet, though the pooling on the leaves ensures that when you do get hit by water, it's with one mighty droplet rather than a gentle few, leaving an uncomfortable damp spot on your hair or your clothes. With an overcast sky maintaining a gloomy kind of atmosphere, what might normally be a dull emanation of light is surprisingly bold, and though at first it could be mistaken for a flash of lightning, its dull blue hue and slow pulsing speed is immediately recognizable to Erland as coming from his backpack.
Yeah, I thought so.
Another signal from the stone bestowed by Marvin Bishop.
I'm riding in front, I assume, because I'm the map, so I'll...
And everyone sees it if he's riding in front. I mean, it makes a decent kind of flash.
Is there a way for me to, check GGG without getting it wet?
You can kind of drape your coat over it.
So I'll keep riding and check GGG.
Nothing's on it yet.
Okay, I will, and the smooth stone is flashing?
It flashed once. And
Okay, I'll squeeze the smooth stone.
Squeeze.
In the bag, keeping it in the bag.
Squeeze it, baby.
And after signaling back, words begin to appear on the page.
Let's go.
Slower this time. A deliberate and measured pace that contrasts with their last viewing, where it seemed the words could hardly keep up with the hand that penned them. But still the same penmanship, as far as you can tell.
Okay, good. I was like, oh god.
I
You got
breathed my
caught.
last.
Yeah.
I have managed to escape. I want to meet you. What major settlement are you nearest to? 1 squeeze for Urinchupa, 2 for Mukmu, 3 for Tuktu, 4 for Katil, 5 for Navikapura, 6 for Dilasun, 7 for Musokori, 8 for Pachacama, 9 for Iramapura.
Oh my god.
When I'm able to find my way there, I will reach out again to narrow down my search.
Whoa,
That's
we
not
won.
killing him.
Holy... And the penmanship looks exactly the same from
Give me an
what
investigation check.
I think someone's making him right now.
Yeah, that's... Yeah. Investigation, 21.
21.
You discern that the handwriting matches Marvin's almost exactly. Your memory of the original page sort of stuck in your mind as you were watching each letter kind of being penned out with bated breath. So it's either him or it's an incredible forgery. But there are some small squiggles where there would normally be perfectly straight lines. Marvin's handwriting even in haste with a sort of delicate and intricate penmanship, giving you the impression that it's possibly being written with an uneasy hand.
Oh, that's tough. And then so we've seen
You saw the flash, and you can clearly see Erland sort of drape his coat so he can look at something.
Erland, what does it say?
Do you need to stop?
We can keep riding.
Can you tell us what's going on? Is he okay?
No.
What do you mean, no?
Someone is forcing him. He's writing under duress.
Forcing him to do what? Right, what?
He wants to meet. Or they want to meet.
Well, that's a trap.
So somebody knows that he has the mirrored inscription page, and that we have Grimoire's giant grimoire.
I don't think they know. They don't necessarily know who he's writing to, but they know he's writing to someone.
I'm assuming he's imprisoned by some powerful people, and Marvin Bishop on his own is not a guy that, I don't know. I mean, how would he have escaped?
We don't know who he's been imprisoned by.
I suppose not, but we can
He was
assume that they're
originally-
powerful, right?
Well, he was originally, he was imprisoned by the camp and the Lemonade Man, but his newer captives are not known.
I'm assuming that they're more powerful than, at least to some extent, than they're at least more cunning or faster than the Lemonade Man was because they stole his prisoner. So we're assuming that they're at least at the same, caliber.
Look, you've all said this before, this only matters to me.
Are you going to tell him where you were going?
You've all said this before.
It doesn't only matter to
what
you,
I'm
it
saying-
matters to me too.
What I'm saying is you've all, perhaps other than Safira, you've all expressed that Marvin Bishop really only connects to me.
What does that mean?
If you think that it's a trap,
I'm saying that you don't have to go with me, but I intend to tell them where
hang
I
on.
am.
What?
I was actually going to suggest the same thing.
But hang on, then we're setting ourselves up for an ambush.
No, I'm setting myself up for an ambush, Safira.
It's not an ambush if you're expecting it. If we're one step ahead of people.
Look, I don't know if they do. I don't know who has him. I don't know if they have any idea whether or not we're connected to the harvesting yard. I have no idea. What I do know is that he seems to be writing under duress right now.
Right, and if you give them the wrong location, that's the end. That's the end of the
I
conversation.
agree.
So
The only thing to do is tell them where we're going to be.
it's not an exact science, I imagine.
How do you mean?
I mean, you're not going to be able to tell him exactly where we are.
Well,
right?
which city? He's listed a bunch of cities, and I can let him know which one.
Well, Erland, look, I know that you care about this, and I know that you're willing to stick your neck out, but I don't think it does us, including you, any favours for you to get picked off by an ambush
All
that you
I'm
decided
saying-
to walk into alone.
All I'm saying is I'm going to tell them where I am, and this doesn't have to concern you if you don't want it to.
I mean,
we're all headed to the same place. It's going to concern us.
Not if you don't come with me.
What do you mean if we don't come with you? We have to head north. So where are you going to
I'm
tell
saying that if I die alone in some basement of a tavern, it's not going to affect you.
well, let's not be so dramatic, Erland. We're going to be there with you because we care.
All I'm saying is I'm letting you know right now, I'm telling the truth. And this is me saying, this is giving you an out. If you like, you do not have to be involved in this. If you'd like to continue, then I would appreciate the help.
But it's not an out. How is it an out?
If you'd like to follow
They don't
the
know
thread,
who I'm traveling with. Presumably.
And I would assume that you might be travelling with a party there. Most people do. Don't they? I mean, am I wrong?
Probably don't know who Marvin is writing to.
Yeah.
I suppose, but
This could be random people. This could be
Look, I
this could
know
be
I'm not
harvesting yard. This could be gentle void.
necessarily your biggest fan, Erland, but I don't want to lose you in a basement.
We're not going to lose him because we're going to be with him.
Well, he doesn't want us there.
No.
No,
he's
that's
trying
not
to-
what I'm saying.
He
I'm
said
just
we can
giving
choose.
you an option.
All the horses are nose to nose at this point. Everyone kind of has, things draped over, and they're all kind of shouting to each other between the horses as the rain kind of falls over your
You have
coat.
the rest of the ride to decide.
I'm going to tell them where we are. I'm going to reach into my pocket.
No,
I'm going to squeeze 5 times for Nika.
Safira.
You didn't. Well, now you've given us absolutely no option.
No, when we're in the Vikapura, just stay. Give him a wide berth, I suppose.
That's. Okay.
Moment
I'm not
passes.
obviously gonna not go.
And as before, the writing disappears. It erases, leaving a blank page, 216 in the corner. For a moment, you wait. No further correspondence as far as you can tell beyond
that. From here, I'll kind of go up in front with. If he was up in front, I'll pull up in front of him.
Okay.
Just to be in the front.
So you're gonna have voice time or something.
Nope.
The new leader.
I just mean
Up in the front.
Look, all I'm saying is the Tiefling said no more secrets. I'm following through on this. I am doing it.
She meant between ourselves.
That's
not
what I'm saying.
To enemies.
No, what I'm saying is, I'm letting you know what I'm doing. I am giving you an opportunity to bow out, to not be involved in this if you don't want to be. No more secrets.
I think we should prepare ourselves for what could be an ambush when we reach Navikapura.
Well, I think we're going to beat them to Navikapura if they were heading to Oranchupa. They're all the way down south on the continent.
We
Also,
don't
again,
really know where they
unless Marvin has told them a lot, then look, I don't even know who has him.
I know.
And as the Tiefling said, if we lie, then this is where it ends, and Marvin honestly probably dies.
I guess that's true.
We'll follow the thread to Navikapura and then see if we can pick it up again.
I agree.
Okay.
I see
Sure.
your honesty, and I appreciate it.
Erland kind of rolls his eyes.
You look a little green, but it's okay.
Let's keep moving.
The rain keeps up, but the trees continue to thin. And by the time you've spotted what is sure to be the Acqly Grove road, it's been sufficiently muddied to the point where traveling along the edges provides the surest footing for the horses. You turn right and you feel some sense of accomplishment in reconnecting with your intended path. But not before sparing a glance to the south, where the clouds quickly darken to the point of almost black on the horizon. One last reminder of the awesome power of the Tempest that currently resides in Des. By the mid-afternoon, the intensity of the rain has waxed and waned several times, and it now sits somewhere just above a drizzle. The terrain is mostly hills with a smattering of trees, and even with the poor weather, the visibility is pretty good. Enough distance between you and the grove now to see the tuft of Acqly trees that grows above their mundane neighbors, creating a kind of top hat shape with a kind of red trees of the Acqly Grove and then a brim of the sort of more common trees around it. You turn your attention forward, where you're surprised to see that in the distance is what looks to be a very small settlement. Not tents, not huts or lean-tos, but structures of some permanence. Stone foundations, reinforced wooden walls, and some kind of clay tile roofing. You're certainly too far south for this to be an extension of Leopold's garrison. And as you get closer, it becomes clear that it's not quite a town, but a town in progress. Many of the homes are still missing walls or roofs, and there's a sizable workforce in muddied garments, hauling construction materials, setting stones into place, and with the assistance of some horses and mules, pulling sidings up so they can be vertically positioned and then fastened into place. It's quite an operation, and with the exception of a dozen or so armed and lightly armored guards, the size and stature of the laborers make it obvious that it's a workforce comprised entirely of halflings.
Of course it is.
Yes.
And the party starts to move a little closer, and it sort of stands out to you, not that you'd, not expect to see anything else on the way, but there's no sort of settlement that was marked along the way. You hadn't heard of this settlement sort of just outside the Acqly Grove. To your knowledge, it, wasn't something that had been brought up recently by someone.
New to me.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know
I've
they'd
never
be
known
here.
of a settlement this far. between the garrison and the grove.
Do they seem relatively permanent? Like, does it seem like it could be something that was constructed in a day or two, or?
Not a day or two, but it seems very much in progress. It doesn't seem like it's about to be finished. Like, they're very much in the... There's a couple buildings that look pretty close to finished, but a number of them that are very much at the foundation stages of sort of setting these. So it's the beginning stages of a settlement here.
That's exciting.
Yes. I didn't know they'd be here either.
It's a nice little, town that they're building.
I'll pass through quickly then.
Yeah. Do they look, the dwellings that they're building, do they look like halfling-sized, dwellings?
Give me a perception check.
11.
11. They don't immediately look that way. I mean, you're accustomed to, in a lot of places where you've been, halflings are mixed among others, and the houses aren't necessarily catered to their size. Like, in a purely halfling community, they might all be halfling size. These ones don't seem that way. So it's either a place where there's different races, or a place where they expect travelers to come through and might offer lodgings or something, so they wouldn't be specifically catered to halfling size.
Or could it be that someone was ordering them to build this?
Yeah,
or
possibly. Contracted work.
Yeah.
Alright, well, say hi and keep on going then, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose.
Sure.
As the party approaches, you get close to the town. 300 feet off. 200. 100. And they're hard at work. Deep in the mud, you see a number of them kind of digging in this trench to kind of wait for stone foundations to be laid in for a building to be erected. And as you get close, almost to the sort of edge of this town, for lack of a better word, a human man in his mid to late 40s exits one of the closest buildings that seems to be mostly completed. Walls, a roof. Seems like the building has been mostly put together. He's wearing a fine plum-colored jacket that seems to be padded in the shoulders, over a white tunic that hangs out in a loose frill around the wrists and his neck. He has long black hair with a middle part that drapes down evenly on both sides, almost to his chest. And in one hand, he has a spyglass. Following closely behind him is a halfling, who's considerably better dressed than some of his nearby kin, who are very much in sort of work boots, sort of typical laboring gear. Muddy boots, but otherwise free of filth, and holding a large umbrella high above his head, so that it covers both him and the human man that he's trailing. And so the human man comes out, spyglass in hand, the halfling sort of trailing behind, holding the umbrella up. And they start to approach. They sort of move into the middle of the road where you guys are coming forth. Hello there, travelers.
Hi.
Yes.
Would it be possible for me to borrow a brief moment of your time?
What is it that you need?
If it's brief.
Well, first of all, I would like to say welcome to Hackerton. I'm sorry that the weather is not as warm as my welcome.
Clever.
My name is Edgerman Hackett, and I am building this humble town as a convenient rest stop between Tuktu and Leopold's garrison. It is the trove beside the grove. That's what we're going to put on the sign when the sign is up.
I love it.
Beautiful.
I'm laughing.
Oh.
Where are you from?
Well, I'm originally from outside of Dillasu. Now, every endeavor of this nature is not without its difficulties. And we have had some trouble recently with axebeaks breaking into our food supplies. Now, a healthy employee is a happy employee, and it is of the utmost importance to me that my workers remain well fed. I've sent an envoy to Leopold's and another further north to Navikapura to acquire a larger shipment of provisions. But in the meantime, I've been trying to stay afloat here by buying spare rations from travelers at a premium price.
Oh.
Okay.
Is that something you might be interested in?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. How premium are we talking here?
Well, the going rate for a day's rations in most places is 4 or 5 silver.
Is that
I am
right?
willing... Yeah, that's all right.
Is that correct?
I am willing to double that for even 1 gold per day's rations.
Oh.
Travelers coming through here often pack a good bit extra when heading to the Grove, and I would be happy to take those off of your hands if you would be so inclined. So, what do you say? You can be charitable, you can earn my gratitude, and make a bit of coin all at once. A rare opportunity these days.
Is this not something you could go north to the garrison and...
As I said, I have sent already, but it may take some time for that to get there and back. So in the meantime, I'm hoping to make up the time.
Does he seem like he's being forthright about this? Is he like...
What specifically?
Like about having sent people out and needing this food in order to, accommodate
How
his
full of shit is
Are you actually hungry?
That's 8.
8. I mean, as far as you can tell, yeah.
How did you make so much money to spend on these rations?
Well, I have some means of wealth. I'm paying for the construction of this town, as you can see. So
Yes.
I do have some money at my disposal, and I would rather not have to shut down production. So I'm hoping to buy at a premium in the hopes that that will tide us over until we're able to get more food.
I'd be willing to sell you 2 days' rations.
Excellent.
How many days out of... how many days away are we from Navigapur, roughly?
What was
just
it?
like, just where
He
are we
said,
in
like,
terms of the
4 or
map?
5, I think, right?
That was a while. I mean, you guys are probably still 3-4 days away. I need to look at the map. Who's got the? Can I see the?
The big one?
No, that one you had.
This one here?
Yep.
Well, we also took some of the plumbus fruit and whatnot from...
Did we?
Yeah, we...
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
took
did?
the 3 plumbus.
Okay, good.
Okay.
You guys are about 3 days away from Navigapur. Maybe a slight bit less.
I have 17 rations, so...
I have 18.
Remember, it's
But that's
days.
3.
3 ration, 3.
Three
You might have been
rations
doing them
per
individually.
day.
Oh,
yeah.
I was doing
He's
them
saying 1
individually.
gold per day's
So
rations,
that's
which would
3, yeah.
So...
So it's like 6 for 2 days. Right.
If that's how you marked it.
Yeah.
I'm-
Yes,
yeah,
2 days
we're-
rations would be 6 rations if that's how you wrote it down.
I'm gonna give him.
Please step inside and we can complete the transaction. It's a little rainy out here.
Where are all your workers from?
Well, my laborers are a very fine group of compelled domestics from the great city of Dillasoon and its surrounding villages, where I'm from.
Compelled domestics?
Yes, I have a proud history of using my shipping routes from Ki'Ira to Antisuyu to assist those in distress but who cannot pay their way. Those would be unjustly drafted into military service, those whose impending prison sentences far outweigh their crimes, and runaways from broken homes. Those kinds of sad stories. See, I give them free passage to Antisuyu, and in exchange they work for me for a short time.
Doesn't sound free.
Well, it's sort of free in advance, if you like it that way.
How long do they have to work for you?
It depends on where they're coming from.
Like a couple years?
Perhaps, yes. A ship from Ki'Ira to Antisuyu is not cheap.
Right.
I'm kind of... Safira, when she hears that, she's kind of looking around at the halflings like, Sounds like, indentured servitude.
They're not, you give them a good look over, they're not chained up at all. There's guards stationed around, definitely, but no one's like chained up. It's not like...
Yeah, Safira's just looking around to see if anyone looked particularly like skinny or miserable.
I mean, they're in the rain, they're in the mud,
Yeah,
they look
that's
kind
right.
of...
They look
Yeah,
miserable.
maybe,
Do
but...
I recognize any of them?
Give me an investigation check.
Nat 1. I'm rolling again.
Is this your roll?
Nat 20.
She goes...
just give me 1 second. Alright, I'm ready.
You take a moment as he's kind of regaling the story to really kind of lean down and kind of look around, and all of the faces that you can see, you do not recognize anyone. And, you know, the communes where you were from,
Yeah.
it wasn't a tiny community, but you feel like you might recognize someone or something.
there was
Yeah,
someone,
so
yeah.
this doesn't seem like it's people that might have come from that region. And like he said, he's from Dillasoon, which is up north, so might not be the same group.
I can sell you 2 days worth of rations. Oh wait, do you want us to go inside?
Yes, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm gonna stay out here and watch our horses, and I'll hand Beezaura 2 days worth of rations.
Okay.
I'll get your payment.
Alright.
And he leads you.
I'll step
As,
in with. I'll step
as
in
we're
with
going, can I talk to this
Sure,
guy?
you're walking for a moment,
Yeah.
you sort of slide off your horse, and your feet hit the mud, it kind of makes a little splash.
Sir,
Yes.
your lineage is, your whole family very wealthy.
I come from some wealth, yes, I'm very fortunate to have done so.
And
I do not take this for granted.
good to hear. I know halflings can be used in certain ways that aren't as respectable.
Well, I hope that none of them feel that way about me. I certainly strive not to be.
Great. And are you of any esteem in any community?
I suppose, as I said, I'm from a village outside of Dillasoon. People know me there. I have connections with shipping routes, so, like I said, that's where I've made most of my money.
Any connection with any of the guild halls in Dillasoon?
No.
Do you have any connections to any other organizations?
No, I don't think so. I mostly work for myself. Is there one you have in mind? I might have crossed paths with one at one point, but not one that I work with repeatedly.
Well,
I'm looking for chess pieces. Do you have any of those?
No.
Does that seem true?
Make an insight check.
What are you talking about?
Being around that bush.
No, you can't tell. I mean, either way. He came back with it very quick. I mean, he wasn't like playing coy. He wasn't like, what's a chess piece? So he was...
What are those?
well, shall we?
Yes, please. He sort of motions to go. Sure.
Just giving him like a look. She's gonna walk in.
He leads you over to the building
Best I
that he
can
sort
do
of
is
first...
give him a fucking side eye.
As he goes in, I'll like wink at Beezy.
And he motions to a row
Stay
of
outside.
kind of hitching posts just
Staying
outside that provide a convenient spot to tie up the horse. So is who's going in, who's staying out?
I'm going in.
I'm going in, yes.
3 in,
very much
Stay out.
going in.
2 staying out. Great. So you sort of get off, tie the horses to the post, but you sort of stand there surveying the surroundings. And as you step inside the cabin, it's a sort of welcome reprieve from the constant drizzle outside, and an active fireplace on the far wall is providing a little bit of warmth. And while the exterior of this dwelling is in very good shape, the interior is very much in the works. Aside from a simple desk, a large trunk, and a coat rack with a couple other fine jackets affixed to it, it's almost entirely bare. It's clear that this hasn't been sort of made into a home yet. He's using it as a kind of temporary office. There is a bed frame in the corner, no mattress, just a bedroll sort of up on top of it. Looks sufficiently padded, and there's a fur blanket folded up in the corner. And he sort of motions to the halfling that was with him. He sort of takes the umbrella and sort of leaves it next to the door. And he moves over to his desk. He sits on the other side, and there's a couple of chairs there. Only 2 chairs. Someone will have to stand.
I'll stand, it's alright.
Okay.
How many rations can you spare?
I'll give 2 in my
2 days?
2 days,
2 days?
and my
Excellent.
other companion's also doing 2, so I'll hold on to her.
One of the ones outside?
Yes.
Excellent. That's 4.
I can give you 2 as well.
2 days. Excellent.
Fortunately,
Oh, sorry. Yes. 6 days rations total. And, not a hard sell, but can I talk you out of any more? There are a lot of us here. We're just
I'll
trying
give
to...
one more.
Excellent. So 5 total for you. 3 for you, 2 for your friend.
Your workers, they're not like starving, are they?
We have some available, but like I said, we're trying to get as many as
What
we
do
can
you
from
eat?
anyone who passes through. I eat what they eat.
Okay.
so do you only provide transport to halflings from Kiira?
No, that's just a commonly misplaced group in Kiira.
From where?
From where? What do you mean?
Is it from a particular location?
Kender, mostly, the capital city.
I know that. To be
Yeah, I mean, his logistics of the races is not off, certainly in Kender. Halflings don't have a super, not that they have a low status in Kender, but again, they don't hold any particularly high offices. It's more of a laborers group, sort of a working class. So there's definitely some misrepresentation in terms of status in that regard.
Okay.
So that doesn't ring false to you.
I might need one of those fruits.
So that's 5, and then 2 more, and none. I can't talk you out of any more.
Any more than the 0 that he's currently offered you?
Yes, more than 0
I'll
would be
speak for
excellent.
him.
How much is it
No.
for?
1 gold per day's rations. That's twice the going rate.
I'll give you. If you give me 3 gold, I'll give you 1 day.
Make a persuasion check.
We're just trying to out-ass
11?
the slave
11.
master.
3. So You want 3 gold for 1 ration.
1 day's worth of rations.
1
Yes.
day's. Perhaps if you could put together 10 as a group, I'll give you 25.
How many have we given him so far?
So 5, 6, 7, and you're saying 8. So he wants 2 more for 25 total. So he's basically offering, what is that?
2.5.
Yeah, as opposed to 3.
Wow, I
I'll,
got
I'll toss him. I'll toss him 2 days rations.
Great.
So we need 1 more.
No, that should do it.
5,
Oh.
6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 1 more.
Oh.
Yeah, she was 5. She was 2.
We'll sort this out outside. I'll give him 3 days rations.
Excellent.
Wow.
You didn't share any of
Went
your
from
gold
0
with
to
us.
3
Yes.
just then.
Yeah, we give us a
Can
good
go
deal.
3.
He did.
Oh, 0 to
I'm
3
saying, he went from
rations,
0
yes.
to 3.
How much gold did you find on those dead bodies? You want us to give you a ration?
You don't know what I found.
What?
I don't wish to part with more, but it's the right thing to do. Okay, count out 25 gold. And you see the halfling kind of go over to the chest that's on the far wall. He opens it up. It looks like he's kind of coming through. He's counting it out.
Can Orba be casting detect magic ritualistically as they're in there?
Sure. You're just kind of
guess
sitting
I'm
there.
out in the open.
You're not. Yeah, you are out in the open. You definitely
Okay.
can, but
Never
you
mind.
are out in the open.
Never mind.
So, have halflings come and gone already from here?
In what way do you mean?
Like, have they done enough time working and then you sent them free?
Yes, that has happened. Although this group specifically was chosen for this project, so
So you've done this for other projects?
yes, I have.
How do you negotiate these contracts? Is it like, I'm gonna, get you across, I'll get you to this mainland safely, and then you have to do what? This project, build this village for me, and then you're done? Or is it
It's very much like that. Yes.
Okay.
Can I ask you one more thing?
Yes.
Have you come across anyone by the name of Ferd?
No.
And anyone last name Crippler?
No.
All right.
Are these friends of yours from Dillasun?
Just from my past.
From Ki'ira?
From
Because as I said, almost my entire labor force is from at least Dillasun or Ki'ira or beyond.
Yes, I just wanted to ask just in case. Anyway.
Do you know an Opal Kinsley in Dillasun?
I know of her, yes.
Is she still there?
Yes,
As far as you can
I
tell?
believe so. Well, thank you very much. We're very glad to have done business, and hopefully we'll put together enough rations so we don't have to shut the project down.
Please be kind to these workers.
I am, absolutely.
And I kind of am gonna nod to him, and then also give kind of a nod to the halfling that's counting out our gold. That counted out our gold.
I'm gonna.
He had counted it out.
I'm
He
gonna
counted-
get the gold from the halfling.
He comes out with the full 25. He sort of, for you to split up on your own.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
Thank you.
Hand it to her.
So,
He steps kind of back into the corner. While this is going on, Orba, Graven, anything on the outside here? Sort of surrounded by the noises of the kind
just
of
stare at each other.
people digging ditches, a little bit of 2, 3, sort of pulling up some of the walls.
I'm gonna be just flexing the flesh on my left hand. I'm not sure if you saw what happened outside of the tree.
Yes.
I'll take it out of my focus, as it were, it's been embedded in my hand for many years now. Wouldn't have asked for it that way, but it was somewhat of a benefit.
How do you mean?
I didn't have to display it like I do now.
Oh.
I could go in secret as what I am.
With its broken nature, maybe people won't recognize it as easily?
You never know how people are going to react to even just my face, never mind the symbol. So,
Hey! What if I taught you some spells. Like, what if we studied a lot, and when you eventually don't need this horrible thing in your life, you're doing other things, you know, with stuff. What if I taught you some stuff?
I don't know. I've never been one for studying. Just kind of always came to me.
Yes, well, it's not. Well, it's a little hard, but we could try.
Perhaps.
Maybe in Vikapura, when I meet Zealous and he teaches me things, maybe he could teach you some things.
Maybe.
It's worth a shot. I'm sorry.
As this conversation's kind of happening, the two of them exchanging this, you see a halfling kind of come up, and he's got a pair of shovels that are sort of over his shoulder. And he comes up and he almost kind of pushes through you guys a little bit, and is moving kind of up to this row of hitching posts. Out of my way if you don't mind. Got put in another post. Oh. He starts kind of...
This guy's immediately my favorite.
Your work is pretty beautiful.
Seems quite focused.
Oh, am I distracting him?
We got work to do. I don't mean to catch trouble for your curiosity, so piss off.
Catch trouble?
Yeah.
Are there penalties for not working around here?
Have you ever worked a job in your life? If you just stopped working, wouldn't you catch a beating for it?
I can't say that I've caught many beatings in that sense.
I don't know.
Kind of nodding.
I don't know. I think we caught a beating for you, dude.
I suppose.
Here to sell your rations, then?
Yes, we thought we could help.
Is that not beneficial to you?
It's fine.
Would you rather something else?
He kind of looks back and forth, and there's kind of a guard stationed there at the... He's not right next to you, but he's up a little bit at the edge of the door that the three of them pass through.
If I see him eye that guy, I'll just kind of sidestep just enough so I could kind of block him from that guy in a way.
Okay. I know you think you're helping, but if they can't see me, that's worse. And he steps to the side so that the guard can... And you can see as you sort of look over your shoulder, the guard had kind of started to look over just to make sure you could keep an eye on him.
Maybe I'll like turn away from him as though...
Turn away from
the...
The halfling.
Yeah, from the halfling, as though I'm not speaking to him.
Okay.
And... Is he cruel?
Give me a performance check as you attempt to...
Put on
Get that Goliath charisma going.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what check?
A performance check as you attempt to sort of fake a conversation with Orba while you're sort of
Performance.
speaking.
Oh, fuck.
3.
Immediately as Graven starts to speak, Orba sort of not on the same page at that exact moment. Sort of the reactions between the two of you in your conversation doesn't match up, and the guard's already kind of looking over. Excuse me. Please don't talk to the workers until they're done for the day.
They're not allowed to converse.
We've got a lot of work to do.
What are you doing?
Standing guard.
They look like they could use some help. Is that too below you?
Everyone has their job. I do mine.
Very well.
Is the guard human?
Yeah. The guy can.
Okay, maybe this guy isn't as sweet as he lets on to be.
I gotta come back to do another post. Maybe you find a way to draw his attention. And he sort of takes a couple steps away.
Got it.
And Graven goes.
Do something.
This is supposed to be an in and out kind of place.
I was just going to offer if you'd like to have a conversation with the little man. I could try to distract the guard.
What am I going to say to him? You had curiosities about it.
Does it not seem a little... Not as it seems.
I mean, it just seems like a shitty place with a shitty job that you can't, it just seems shit. What are we going to do? What are we going to do about that?
I don't know.
I'll go talk to the little man.
We're people too.
I know.
Go ahead.
I'll just when he comes back for the other post, I'll try to distract the guard.
Okay. Anything you would like me to pass along?
I suppose I'd like to know more about the smarmy character looking for rations.
All right. Okay.
And you sort of trace his past. He goes over to this kind of wheelbarrow that has a number of these posts. It looks like he's installing them in different places. A couple buildings down, you see a number of hitching posts outside it. Another couple down, you see another. So he unloads one of these kind of long posts, puts it on his shoulder. He sort of has the shovel in the other hand, and he's kind of waddling back in the direction, sort of down the path.
What he was working on was pretty close to the horses. If he rushed
It was
by
very
us.
close to the horses,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. I mean, your horses are tied to a couple of them. He just was installing a couple more of them.
Try to get yourself behind a horse in such a way that it's not immediately obvious that you're talking to her.
Okay, I was going to tie my boot, but yes, that's also good.
How long does it take you to tie a boot?
Never mind. Orba's gonna position
What am I
herself.
doing?
Masters of deception.
These performances
The
are
Infernal and the Goliath.
amazing.
Like tripping over each other to talk to.
What are you doing? So he's coming back with the post. Shoveling.
So I will go. Is the guard kind of in the direction of the house?
Yeah, he's standing, like, the door is here, and he's standing, he's, like, guarding the door, basically. He's not the only guard in the area, but he's definitely the closest one, definitely,
Okay.
for sure.
So I'll kind of walk over towards him, positioning myself kind of so he would, if to face me, he would at least be looking away from there.
Okay, you start to walk up. He sort of immediately starts to kind of just perk up, get ready for sort of your approach, and as he looks at you, putting in rations of your own.
No.
Can I help you with something, then?
Well, if I can't converse with anyone else, I might as well ask you.
I'm also working.
With your eyes, maybe you can't use your mouth?
Have you never worked a real job in your life?
He doesn't allow any of you to speak.
I'm allowed to speak with the other guards, not with you. I don't know who you are.
Just a traveler.
Right. Well, if you
Listen.
get a job here, then we can talk, yeah?
This doesn't seem like someplace I'd like to work. Listen, your boss.
You get one question, what? And I mean, he's turned towards you, but
Yeah.
it's not a huge distraction,
Where is he originally from?
Somewhere in Dillison.
How did you meet him?
I met him in Dillison. He was hiring for security.
Does he pay well enough to bring you all the way out here?
Pays fine.
Seems like there's something you're not telling me.
There isn't. I was waiting to see if you were-
How long did it take you to get here?
That's more than one question. Step off, traveler. He goes back to the door. He sort of keeps an eye out. So now the halfling has kind of gotten back at this point with the post. And he sort of eyes Graven and him over there, but you can clearly see that the guard is still sort of surveying the general thoroughfare. And he comes with the post and he kind of sets it down at the hole. My friend's doing a shit job.
I don't know why he assigned him to be the distraction. I think we should have switched places. So this guy's not so hot, yes? Orba's
He kind of
power
looks
horse.
up. He looks up, and at that moment, him and the guard kind of make eye contact. Puts the shovel, and he starts to walk in the other direction. Oh. And at this time about is when Erland, Safira, and Beezaura emerge from the door opens up, and the guard kind of steps aside to allow them pass through. And at the sort of frame of the door, Mr. Hackett is standing there, sort of seeing you off. Thank you so much for your gracious donations to our cause.
Sorry, a donation if you're paid. But
Well, yes, but I consider it a donation simply because of the charitable nature of it.
As they're chatting, can Orba, as she's like petting her horse, can she kind of like slide her saddlebags off the horse?
You can like untie them.
Yeah, can they like subtly just fall
Yeah.
off the horse?
They fall on them up.
Oh, excuse me, sir, can you just give me a hand? It's heavy things.
Who are you saying that to?
The halfling.
The halfling. He sort of turns, and the guard, I'll help you with that. Starts to walk towards.
Is the halfling going
It's going down the
towards the
street.
entrance?
No, he's like going down the street in the opposite of where you're headed.
It was his job to use his eyes. I thought he couldn't use his hands.
It's a fucking jerk.
So she's got the guard now.
He sort of leans his sort of pike up against the fence, sort of grabs it,
Thanks, I'm new to traveling. Please, it's fragile. Can you just take your time?
tie it off.
I've never done this before. Usually my friends
Then
do.
you hold it and I'll do it.
Okay.
Orba's goes nice and slow.
And he sort of takes it.
So what's your name?
Bill.
Naughty.
Fred.
Naughty McDonough.
Seems fun.
Seemed like an Alex to me.
Puts the pike on his shoulder. He starts to walk back to his house.
Is the Hackett? Is he's out? Where is he?
He now sort of is at the door frame where the guard was just standing, and the reason the guard
Okay.
sort of felt like he could leave the post is now that, you know, Hackett's out there where he can see.
And his little buddy?
He's inside the house. He did not fall on Hackett.
Okay. I'm gonna just pat my like pocket and I think I may have dropped something in there. Do you mind if I just get rid of it? I'll be right back out. Just
Give me a deception check.
Guys,
We're gonna make a 3-act play out of trying to
In and
investigate
out,
this and
man.
not find out anything.
deception?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. 12.
12. He sort of stands in the doorway. Go ahead.
Thank you.
He stands in the door. He does not close it behind him or anything.
Okay.
But he lets you go back inside.
Is he facing inside?
He's like, this is the door frame, and he's standing there in the door frame.
And where's the other guy?
Like in the corner. So he, after he
Okay.
sort of counted the money,
Yeah.
went back to the corner. He's like sitting there. There's a little desk there where he...
All right, just give me one moment. I moved around a bunch, and then I'm gonna go over and like just look on the ground and like make kind of my way over to the corner and just whisper like, "Are you being treated okay?"
Fine, I guess.
You guess. And I'm gonna continue to be working like,
Okay.
you can be honest with me.
I don't see anything that you dropped there. Is there something specific you're looking for?
It was just
contact lens.
just a certain charm that I kept. It's quite small. Just give me one more moment, please. I'm sorry.
I'm not a good person for you to talk to.
Is there someone else I should seek out?
One of the workers, maybe.
Is it that terrible?
You should go.
So I guess, well, that's not having any idea what Orba's doing, but knowing a distraction when he sees one.
A shitty distraction.
Sure. I'm gonna have start moving back to my horse.
Sure, you do so. The guard is passing by, so he
that's-
finished tying.
So I'm gonna start. Put my hands on my horse and go. Oh shit! Oh shit!
Oh my god!
Shit! My key! Has anyone seen my key? I'm gonna point to Graven. Let's go. Do you have my key? Do you have my key?
Your key. Oh,
Shit! And
Erland, you lost your key?
And I'm gonna look in the mud, and I'm gonna just be like, shit. Edgeman?
the tiny
Edgeman,
little keys too. I'm sorry, it's hard to explain.
I have a key to a very long story. I must have dropped it in the mud.
And I'm like
gonna get on my hands and knees and try and
out
look.
of like, oh.
Give
I'm,
me
like,
a deception
looking in
check
the-
with disadvantage.
Oh my god, guys.
We are terrible. This is so sad. Is yours with disadvantage too?
Disadvantage.
Oh no,
deception?
just Erland.
Oh, just me.
Deception.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
7.
7.
Oh, I'm
He sort of looks out a little bit.
I can't.
Oh well, I do hope you find it. And he sort of goes back. If you don't mind,
Yes. And I'll nod to
you
her.
exit. Have a lovely trip north. And he closes the door behind him. Guard stationed there at the door. You guys are looking around in the mud.
Where's the halfling at this point with the shovel? Did he
Walked
come back
around
to
in
the
the other
post?
direction. I mean, he walked back towards that sort of wheelbarrow.
Can I kind of under my breath, like, look, we can just get on the horses, start riding out, see if we can't distract one of the guards a little bit further away.
Are we kind of relatively alone from anyone right now?
You're kind of between where the guard's stationed at the door and the horses.
If I were to whisper something, would other
you
people
could
hear it?
whisper something without someone hearing it.
Tiefling, why am I on my hands and knees pretending to look for a key?
Graven thought there was something fishy about this place, so we wanted to ask the halfling things, and we can't ask the halfling things without people paying attention to us. So that's
The
why
halflings
we're
are
on your
almost
hands
There
certainly
is
being
something
mistreated.
fishy about this place.
So you're just trying to...
Oh, found it! I found it!
No one reacts to
No
that.
one cares at all.
I have suspicions they're not being treated correctly, but there's not really much we can do.
Look, I think we've well enough bungled our distractions here for now, so I think the best thing for us to do is get on our horses, try to tiptoe our way out of here. If on the way out we can talk to a halfling, distract a guard, great. If we can't, we're not going to solve all the problems in Anti-CU today.
I agree. I mean, I think you and I know better
Look,
than
I'm
anybody
sorry.
that sometimes these people are on their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say, let's go. And we ended up giving them 10 rations and they gave us 25 gold in total. So,
Oh, okay.
I'm not convinced that the halflings are
Fine,
necessarily
I'm
even
gonna-
getting those rations. It could just be his personal
I didn't give
storage
any rations.
of food.
it's fine.
It's better that we give it in the possibility.
I'm imagining that it goes to the guards,
That's
who
very
use it as
possible.
fuel
5 each,
to
yeah?
beat
Yeah, I'm gonna
these.
get 5 each.
Were there pre-dug holes for the posts?
Yeah, I'm giving it to you.
He came over and kind of dug one while you guys were standing there,
And
and
there's
then
no
went to get a
post in
post.
it?
No, he went, got one, came
Right.
back, put it in, kind of.
And now
filled
there's
it in.
no
There
holes.
isn't an additional hole. Yeah.
Okay.
Alright. Let's go. I can't be very long.
Next time we know who to send to do the talking. Sorry.
That's okay. I tried to. It didn't work. I'm not that charming, apparently.
When we're riding, is there a way to pass the lumber, like the crates of lumber?
Yeah, it's off to the side, but yes.
Can Orba just have a ration like sitting in her lap as we pass, and she's gonna try to just put one in the bin of lumber?
Okay, give me a sleight of hand check.
Ooh.
Like a day's ration?
No, just one.
Like a
Not
like a
really.
small.
Just a little bit of
Yep.
food. Sleight of hand?
Mm-hmm.
16.
As you sort of ride by, take a quick look around. There's guards kind of stationed at regular intervals along here, but he just kind of slides to the side a little bit, and the wheelbarrow is enough that it's not so full that when you drop it in, it goes below the sides of the barrel. So as soon as it kind of drops in, you sort of let it go. And you
Can I
straighten
take
up
a
on your horse.
second to like
Yeah.
pull a little piece of, I don't know if there's any way that I could do this discreetly, but pull like a piece of paper out of my bag and like write something on it?
What's your phone number?
Yeah, I'm gonna give them my number so they can call me if anything happens.
Possibly. I mean, you're doing something active on
I know,
sort
but
of
I don't
horseback.
think I don't want to make it like the most I can like write as though I'm like writing a note to myself.
Okay,
or
you're not
something.
trying to hide the fact that you're writing.
No, I can
Okay,
like write it
then
kind
yes,
of, like
yes,
almost like
you can.
and
You may.
Sorry.
I don't
She
think
writes,
that
"This place sucks." And
We know something's up.
They are watching?
no, I'm so
Are you
sorry.
the Yar?
Yeah, they are.
I get it. They are.
I'm gonna take this like little thing. It says, and I'm writing a note that says "cough twice if you need help."
Okay.
Oh my
What?
god.
Shut up! I know it's dumb. It's not stupider than I lost my keys.
It's like an anchor.
Yes, what are you doing?
And I'm like, I'm gonna write it
towards
and then
your
like kind of
walking.
like motion like I'm putting it back in my bag and then like kind of ride, but I'm gonna try to keep it in like one of my hand, the hand
Okay.
that doesn't have the reins in
so.
it.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm gonna hold it like down at the horse at a level where I think that a halfling might be able to see it, but a guard wouldn't because of the eye line. Do you know what I mean? Is there any
Yes,
way
I mean,
that?
you're not so close to them. One of them would have to walk up and get it. You know what I mean? You're not. He's not like right there where you could just be like, take this. Like, you guys are riding through the street and they're kind of off to the sides working in
Right,
the buildings.
right.
Like Orba dropped it in a wheelbarrow that was
So
on the.
is there any way that I can kind of ride like close to the side of the street or something?
Sure,
Like,
but
kind of
I
move my
mean,
horse
there's no
around?
direct handoff to a halfling immediately available.
Okay. Is there a way that, like, if I kind of ride off to the side and kind of have it in my hand, and I kind of, like, is there a way for me to, like, kind of, take it for a second
Drop
and,
it in the dirt?
like, kind of do that and, like, try to see if I
Who are
can
you
catch
signaling to? Just one of the halflings?
One of the halflings.
Okay,
yeah.
give me a sleight. Are you trying to not be noticed by the guards?
Yes, I don't want to
Give
be
me a sleight of hand check.
Guys, this is.
I know it's a disaster. I'm
It's
so
getting elaborate.
I am so
Please,
sorry.
man.
I know it's stupid. please, for the love of God. Okay. That could have been worse. 10.
10. Sort of ride alongside through the mud. The rain's still kind of coming down a little bit around you. And you kind of look around and you just kind of flick your wrist a little bit. And one of the halflings kind of looks up. And he sees you. Are you stopping with the horse?
Yeah, I think I can take a second to pull up and kind of like pat for a second or like look back. Just like literally just take a second to kind of like make sure and then kind of like push.
Okay, so you
forward.
stop for a moment. He's got a shovel and he's kind of digging out a foundation of one of these buildings along the side. And he kind of sticks the shovel
And
in.
as if he's watching me, I want to like kind of like let it go almost and like
He sort of sees the motion a little bit and he digs the shovel in and then he kind of flicks the shovel and a bit of mud kind of splatters across the road a little bit. Sorry about that. And he sort of comes over with his shovel,
yeah.
making a mess, and he sticks his shovel in right where the note was.
Great.
And he picks it up. And he kind of goes over to the
Kids
side.
don't play.
And then I'm gonna try
Puts it
to
back.
walk. Then I'm gonna
Yes.
slow the speed of my horse a little bit,
Great.
and like just try to walk as slowly as it is
Great.
like
Sort of move
horsely possible through this.
Very slowly, horse along the street. And that's where we'll pick it up next week.
I was waiting for a call.
Oh no!
Before we find
Two cups if
out,
they need help.
Guys.
Two
I was
cups.
hoping just one.
In,
Or
down,
none.
out.
Horrible. You're the one who started distracting as we came out.
I just want to know if the guy was cool.
I didn't
Yeah,
see
you
that.
you.
I asked one question.
Oh yeah, please. You asked more than one question.
Him.
Oh,
It all
goodness.
ends with a lingering
I want to start a little halfling rebellion. I think it'd be fucking sweet.
We are never getting to Navika.
I would fight some people to free them.
we will find out when we come
I just
back.
come in, just massacre all the
Whether or not there is an
Let them
opportunity.
go.
As you're riding down the street, I can say, I mean, there's guards lining. You've passed a dozen guards already. I mean, it's a big operation. I mean, any operation
I'm
of this
more
size.
thinking
You gotta
that if
learn
we
that
do-
every town we go to sucks. And we can't make it
Look,
back.
listen. I'm thinking if we
I'm here to
survive
change
and
the
we're
world,
big
okay?
on riches and we're level 10 someday, we
We're
can
gonna come
stomp
back to
into
this fucking town.
Yes, we are.
Hack it
We're
in.
gonna stop
Yeah.
and try to be like,
This is now our
this is
town.
you're free.
Damn, guys.
Look, if they cough twice, I'm gonna be like, I'm keeping that in mind if I survive for the next few months.
no,
baby.
Safira's turning her goddamn horse around, she's pulling her bow out, and then we all have to fucking fight.
Oh my god.
Thank you all so much for joining us for this a wonderful live episode.
Yeah.
I see a few
Yay.
frames were dropped, but a large success
A couple
on the
hiccups,
whole.
but everyone thought it was Twitch's fault, so thank
Thanks for sucking.
Blame it on the Twitch.
Yes.
Night Munch resub and then gifted. Or wait, no,
Thank you. So
gifted
much.
a tier 1 sub. So thank you so much, Night
Thank
Munch.
you, guys.
You the
That's-
best.
it means
You
a
got
lot.
little cute little badge.
Sort of adjusting to this weird environment that we're in at the moment, but we're making the most of it. And again, we love to be here telling this story. And thank you guys for so much for being along with us for the ride. It means a lot to us, and we'll pick it up there next week.
We have 702 followers.
Thanks for 700.
We did it! 700. Big 7.
Oh!
And two.
Ooh, two!
What does it all mean?
Find out next time.
We'll unravel that mystery. Maybe never.
Maybe never.
We'll pick it up there next time. We're out of the Acqly Grove after I don't know how many
dude.
episodes. 5, 6 episodes, Ben?
At least
little
like
spell.
12.
Little
I
spell.
don't know.
So it's been a while, and now out and moving towards Leopold's Garrison on our way north to Navikapura.
Maybe.
Maybe this is where the journey ends.
Yes.
Right here in Hacketon.
Hide in a
Bunch
tree
of-
somewhere.
As we all thought it
like,
would.
guards kill us.
Thank
Oh,
you
yeah, after all
guys
that.
so much. We will see you here, same time, next week, 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
We'll see you there. Have a wonderful night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh
My thing's in a different spot.
You're like,